Welcome back to another UCL Fantasy deadline stream ahead of Matchday 8, the second leg of the round of 16. We've got a lot of people watching or tuning in already. I genuinely appreciate it. And there's a lot to go through in the next 2 hours or so. 1 hour, 58 minutes until the deadline. We're going to cover everything you need to know for the upcoming deadline and talk about the best captaincy options, go over the lineups for Bayern Munich and Paris Saint-Germain, and much more. Talk about all the injury updates and suspensions. Just a kind of correction on my previous videos. There are 3 suspended players for Matchday 8. So Upamecano I covered. He got the red card against Lazio in the first leg. But there's also Schlotterbeck due to having 3 yellow cards, and Simikan for RB Leipzig. Those 2 players are out of Matchday 8. They'll be back in the squad in Matchday 9, assuming these teams go through, and they will serve the suspension for getting 3 yellow cards. And there are plenty of players at risk, such as Ruben Dias, 1 more yellow and he's suspended. The yellow cards do refresh in Matchday 11 for the first leg of the semi-finals, so it's very important to keep that in mind. And depending on what news we get before the deadline, I'll be making some big transfers, probably at the back. I think that's the weakest part of my team. There are rumours that Kim Min-jae will be benched, and it'll be Eric Dyer alongside De Ligt as the centre-back partnership for Bayern Munich. If that's the case, I will be getting rid of Kim Min-jae tonight, but I'm going to wait first for official confirmation and also go through all the rumours and predicted lineups and stuff like that I found online. But let's get straight into your questions. Drop a like already. Our aim is to get this stream to over 300 likes, and then after that we can push on potentially to over 500 likes, and it might be a big ask, but I am looking to get to 23k subscribers tonight, and I think it's certainly possible. We're around 300 away, and we can generally make that happen. Let's see how close we can get. Georgie says, using my Limitless card first time in the playoffs. Yeah, I've always used it in Matchday 2 or 5 pretty much in the group stages. I think in the knockout stages I've never done it. I wish you the best. I think Matchday 8 is the best time to play the Limitless if you still have it. I covered this in the chip strategy guide, which I uploaded early in the season. Thank you very much, Georgie. If you value this content, just hit the like button. Thank you very much. Cylindra says, hey Dylan, thoughts on selling KDB, Stones and Thuram to Bellingham, Foden and a Bayern PSG defender? I like all of the moves. I think KDB and Stones will be benched. There is a chance Foden is too, but I think most Man City predicted lineups do have Phil Foden in there. And because he's so young, he can play every 3 or 4 days. It wouldn't surprise me if he is in the starting 11, but yeah, that is still a bit risky. Bellingham is fine, but I did point out his record against RB Leipzig, not particularly great. No goals or assists in 6 appearances against them and 3 yellow cards, but I think that will change in Matchday 8. And yeah, Bayern or PSG defender, that's fine. I think from PSG, you're probably looking at Beraldo or perhaps maybe Marquinhos, who could be back in the squad. He was called up and he did travel, and we'll get the lineup very soon. Hakimi's obviously more than fine as well, but I think he's 1 yellow card away from suspension. And from Bayern, you're probably looking at De Ligt or Dyer as a 4.5 million enabler. There is a chance Davis starts tonight, so we're going to wait and see. And yeah, once we get the official confirmation, we can go through that. I'm not going to lie, Cylinder, I'm not really interested in the Man City Netflix thing because, yeah, I'm just not really a big fan of those sort of things, and especially Man City, I'm just not really interested. Felipe Garcia says, what is the word on the City lineup? Well, Doku didn't train. The same goes for Grealish. Everyone else is available. I think the likes of Gvardiol will start. It makes sense. I don't think he'll come into the side against Liverpool at the weekend. This is a great opportunity for Pep Guardiola to give Gvardiol some minutes. I also think Akanji comes in after being benched in the Manchester derby. I think it makes sense for him to start tonight or tomorrow, and also maybe at the weekend he'll be benched as well. But with Foden, I think he does start, but it would not surprise me at all if he was benched. I think De Bruyne will be benched, and that's why I'm looking to get rid of him. I think Erling Haaland will start, and he also did the press conference with Pep Guardiola, which is very encouraging. I think he will start. As for Nathan Ake, I also think he's benched. Raman says, hey Dylan, hope you are doing well. Likewise, do you think Foden is a sell? I don't. Like I said, there is a chance he's benched, but I personally think he will start. And hopefully we get a source like FPL Tony giving us that information before the deadline. He might be on a rotation risk. Yeah, of course. And I covered this in my team selection video, which was recorded before the Manchester derby. And with all 4 of my Manchester City players starting in that game, it doesn't really bode well for them. But I'm very confident Erling Haaland starts. Probably around 80-85% about that. With Phil Foden a bit less, but still quite confident. I think Ake and De Bruyne will be benched. Yep, Kim Min-jae to be benched by Tuchel. You're right about that. He didn't train with the A team, so to speak. I'm on a wildcard who's a good replacement for him. You can go for a like-for-like, such as Eric Dyer or De Ligt. But otherwise, I would maybe consider going in a different direction. You could even go for two Man City defenders, and you can go for a quartet. So you go for Foden in the midfield, Haaland up front, and then two defenders for Manchester City. Where it will be De Ligt and Dyer starting. Upamecano suspended. They don't have anyone else. Kimmich will be playing right back. Mazzari did individual training, but I don't think he'll be ready to start. So you're probably looking at Davis, Kimmich as the fullbacks, Eric Dyer and De Ligt as the centre-backs. De Ligt has really been misused this season by Thomas Tuchel. How do you use the Limitless and Wildcard, guys? Well, you just go to the transfer section and there is, I think you just click on the button. It will just say Limitless available and Wildcard available. You click on it and it will activate it. Once you confirm your transfers, it is set and you cannot revert it. Lazarino says Kane or Mbappe as captain. I covered this in all of my videos. I'd personally go for Kane with the home advantage. I do like Mbappe though, and I'm going to show a stat that's quite encouraging for the Frenchman. And Zaire Emery or Thuram as a pick. Thuram is injured. I don't think he'll be available for Matchday 8. I'd rather go for Zaire Emery as a result. Yeah, Oscar Bob could start. I saw one predicted lineup with Oscar Bob in it. Thank you, El Padrino. Always a pleasure. Big up Dylan and the chat. Get the likes up. Thank you very much. Phobia Isaac TV says, hi Dylan, hope you're fine. Likewise. Kvaratskhelia was on fire last match. How about him as captain? I bought him in Matchday 6 and he was pretty awful. I don't think he's a great UCL Fantasy option, to be honest, and it's Barcelona away, and Barcelona have been in good form recently, so it could be a high-scoring game. Kvaratskhelia is a good player, but I don't think he's the type that gets a lot of goals or assists consistently. He was last season up until March, then since then his record has been quite poor in terms of pure output, but look, I've heard of worse shouts. It's a one-day punt. You've always got other captaincy options to lean back on, but remember, Barcelona don't play today. Captain someone from Paris Saint-Germain or Bayern Munich tonight. If that doesn't go through, you can captain someone tomorrow from Manchester City. Then you've got Arsenal players next week and, of course, Kvaratskhelia, as you mentioned. Thank you, Ivan Hernandez. Always a pleasure. I'll try to go through all the questions, as always. What's the plan for City players? To sell Ake and De Bruyne and to keep Foden and Erling Haaland. That is my current plan. And I covered this in the team selection video as well. Will Hakan be back in time for Atletico Madrid? It's not confirmed, but he's expected to be out until mid-March. So there is a chance he's back for Matchday 8. I personally think he will be available. Welcome. Good to see you. Hey, Dylan, how are you? Thank you for your streams. I'm good. What about you? A bit tired, not going to lie. I had to take a lot of coffee to have enough energy for the stream, but hopefully I do last. When do I use Wildcard and Limitless? If you still got both chips, I'd use the Limitless now and probably the Wildcard in Matchday 9 or 11, but it's team dependent. I'm always asked these types of questions on FPL and UCL Fantasy, and ultimately my team is different to yours and it might be different for you. So maybe it could be a different Matchday entirely. But for most people, if you've got both chips, I think Matchday 8 Limitless and Matchday 9 Wildcard. Akash says, hi Dylan, hope you're doing well. Mbappe or Vinicius Jr.? This week, I slightly prefer Vinicius Jr. Mbappe has blanked in 2 games in a row, and Vinicius Jr. got a brace against Valencia at the weekend. So I'd probably favour Vinicius, and also in the long term, I back Real Madrid to go far in the competition, whilst PSG will probably be eliminated by the quarterfinals, depending on the draw, of course. What about Saka? He's fine. He came off because of illness, but he was ready to start the game against Sheffield United. He played well, got 2 FPL assists in 45 minutes, and because of the game stay, Arsenal already had the game won. It made sense to take him off. The same goes for Martinelli. He's absolutely fine. He just had a cut, and Arteta was quite positive about both of them. Yeah, of course, I covered this in all of my videos, mate. So City rotation is the first thing I mentioned, even before the Manchester derby took place, and I made the recording. I said it's going to be a big issue. Man City could rotate. Now, do I expect them to make heavy rotation and change 7-8 players? No. I think they'll rest 3 or 4 key players ahead of the Anfield game at the weekend, and De Bruyne is almost certainly going to be one of them. But let's wait and see. I could be wrong. Maybe De Bruyne starts here, and then he's benched against Liverpool. But my personal opinion is that De Bruyne will be benched in the Champions League. Lunin or Ederson? Lunin. Ederson has a better chance of a clean sheet, but Lunin is cheaper. He's also got a much higher ceiling. I think he's a better option. Is Yamal a good differential? Yes, but is he one of the best players in the game or around his price? I don't think so, but from Barcelona, he would definitely be quite encouraging. How's it, Dylan? Hope you're well, mate. Thank you very much, Dave. Likewise, and greetings to everyone, as you say. So the question is, KDB for who? I'd say Bellingham, but his record against Leipzig isn't great. I'd still rather have Bellingham than Musiala, though. With Bellingham as well, though, bear in mind that he's 1 yellow card away from suspension in the Champions League. No, I've not watched Dune 2. I'll probably watch it next week. ¿Vas a poner de nuevo a Bellingham? Sí, Emiliano, creo que sí. Voy a esperar para noticias y ver si algo pasa. Pero en este momento mi idea es comprar Bellingham por De Bruyne. Would you change Saka for Bellingham? No, it would be De Bruyne making way. I don't think De Bruyne will start. I don't think City will rotate too much. I agree. I literally just said that. It's just for me, they will rest certain players like Nathan Ake, who's played a few games in a row. Kevin De Bruyne played against Luton. He started that game and Manchester United. There's no way he's going to start against Liverpool at the weekend and against Copenhagen in the Champions League. He's going to be benched in one of them, and I personally think he'll be benched tomorrow. Are you planning to keep Haaland? Yes. Will Haaland play? I've covered this many times. I believe so. De Bruyne and Foden will get benched. You might be right. I think De Bruyne will be benched. I personally think Foden starts. Let's wait and see what happens. Walker starter, I'm not so sure about that, to be honest. I'm not that confident. I think the defenders that are most likely to start for Man City are Ruben Dias, Gvardiol, and Akanji. Yeah, you might be right, GSM. That's something I probably missed out on. Thuram played the last 40 minutes yesterday against Genoa, so he's not injured. He was injured, but now he's probably back then. I'll have a look at that to double confirm, but you're probably right there. Hey, Dylan, who should I replace Gvardiol with? I wouldn't sell Gvardiol. I think he has a good chance of starting unless we get inside, Man City, source that has inside information that says Gvardiol's not going to start. That's the only reason I'd sell him. Captain Vinicius, Haaland or Mbappe? Mate, Haaland plays tomorrow. Mbappe and Vinicius play today. Captain one of those players. My personal preference is probably Vinicius. So remember, that's the way it works. You captain someone from the Tuesday games. If that doesn't work out, you can captain Haaland tomorrow. And then you've got 2 more opportunities for the captaincy in Matchday 8. Sí, Sergio, para mí Vinicius es mejor en la jornada 8, pero no hay mucho para separarlo. Replacing Haaland with Alvarez, I wouldn't sell Haaland. I think he starts. It's up to you. If you think Haaland is benched, it's not a bad idea. I think Alvarez will start for sure in Matchday 8, but I personally wouldn't sell Haaland. He did the press conference with Guardiola, which is a good sign. Sane has been injured, but there is a chance that he features. He did team training very recently, but yeah, we're already getting a lot of questions in. Be sure to drop a like and all of that good stuff. I'm going to go through some suspension stuff very quickly, just for those of you that aren't aware. So Upamecano is out due to the red card he got against Lazio. There are 2 players who are out for Matchday 8 because of 3 yellow cards, so accumulation of yellow cards, and as a result, they're going to be out. That is Schlotterbeck from Borussia Dortmund and Simakan from RB Leipzig. In terms of those players that are at risk, 1 more yellow and they're suspended. Ruben Dias from Manchester City, Hummels. We've also got Vavro, Melling, Dix and Falk. We've also got Castellanos, Patric, Guendouzi and Pedro. Hakimi, Skriniar, Lucas Hernandez and Ugarte. Araujo, Joao Felix, Roberto, Torres and De Jong. Lino, De Paul, Savic, Morata, Camavinga, Bellingham, Joao Mario, Pepe, Cardoso, and Canesiao. By the way, Pepe is the Porto midfielder, not the defender, which is quite surprising. Inter Milan, Aselani, Mkhitaryan, Lautaro Martinez, and Fritesi. From Real Sociedad, we've got Zubeldia, Merino, Traore, and Lenormand. Declan Rice from Arsenal, Alphonso Davies and Goretzka, Henriks and Paulson. So all of those players alongside all Boscagli and Ramalho, all of those players, 1 more yellow and they're suspended. In terms of injury updates, I might just show you on screen. I think it'll be much easier to follow. So let's use the website called Sports Gambler, which is very important actually in terms of keeping track of all the suspensions and injuries. So Bayern Munich have so many problems. Serge Gnabry could be back for Matchday 8. He could even get some minutes off the bench, according to Thomas Tuchel. We're going to find out the lineups very soon. Leroy Sané too could be available. He did team training very recently, so that looks good. Mazzari did individual training, so I think he'll be in the squad, but not start against Lazio tonight. Sasha Bowie, Kingsley Coman, then you've got all these other injuries there for Bayern Munich. Sasha Bowie could be in the squad, but the rest are going to be out for Matchday 8. Then we've got Copenhagen, Klaassen, Laraga, Højlund, Sander, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce that name. I could do it, but you know what? For the sake of my integrity, I won't. The remaining 3 players, though, from Copenhagen are doubtful, so they have a chance of facing Manchester City tomorrow, but it isn't really set in stone. Then we look at Arsenal. Saka, like I said, he's absolutely fine. He came off due to illness, so don't worry about Saka. He's going to play against Porto unless something happens in the interim. Martinelli came off against Sheffield United due to a cut. He was in some considerable pain, but he should be fine for the weekend against Brentford. Tomiyasu, Zinchenko and Timber are the only injury doubts for Arsenal. Gabriel Jesus returned, came off the bench and almost scored against Sheffield United. Thomas Partey got a cameo, and the same goes for Fabio Vieira. For PSV, we've got Veerman, who's actually a recent doubt that happened over the weekend. We've also got Lang and also Ismail. In terms of other teams that are still in the Champions League, Real Madrid, Eder Militao, Thibaut Courtois, and Alaba are the only players who are missing. It doesn't say Alaba here, but Alaba, I don't think, is in the squad for Real Madrid. In terms of Napoli, it's the same as what I covered in the weekend. Cajuste and Ngonge. Other players we have, Real Sociedad, have a lot of injury problems. They've also got one victory in the last 9 games across all competitions. We've got Carlos Fernandez, Munoz, who's out for the season. We've got Martin, Odriozola, Elostondo, and Zakarian. Hopefully I haven't butchered any names, but I'm trying my best, of course. Inter Milan, we've got Kalinoglu's a doubt, but I think he will be available. Sensi and Cuadrado. And by the way, we're going to cover it very soon. Antoine Griezmann is expected to feature against Inter Milan next week. And I did say this in my team selection. I think they'll do everything possible to get him ready because Atletico Madrid are a much better team with Griezmann in it. In terms of other teams, we've got Atletico Madrid here. So I just covered there with Griezmann. Also Jose Jimenez. He could also be available for Matchday 8. We've got Azpilicueta and Lemar. Let's wait and see. But Azpilicueta, it doesn't look good. He's probably out until mid-April. From Lazio, Patric and Rovella are injury doubts, and they're probably going to miss Matchday 8. They're projected to miss the rest of the month potentially, so they won't make it tonight. We've also got Borussia Dortmund. Schlotterbeck is suspended. I covered this. Bamba, Kobel, who is probably going to be out until late March. Sebastian Haller and Nemecha. From Paris Saint-Germain, Marco Asensio has a light issue to his right hamstring. We've got Kazawa, Skriniar, Sergio Rico, and Kimpembe. Other players I covered in recent videos like Marquinhos, who was doubtful due to a calf injury. He's now back. He's in the squad, and we're going to find out in 20-30 minutes, but Marquinhos will probably start. And Lucas Hernandez is also expected to start as well, following his benching in Matchday 7. But Lucas Hernandez has been subbed off very early in recent games. That doesn't sit right with me, so he might still be a sell for my squad. In terms of Manchester City, only Jack Grealish and Doku are doubts. Both of them missed training, and Grealish could be out for some time. From RB Leipzig, Simicon is suspended, so that's 3 players suspended, and I've covered that a few times, but I'll probably recap later on for new viewers. Klosterman is also out. We scroll down here. Barcelona have fresh injury concerns. Pedri is out, and the same goes for Frankie de Jong. Massive blows there for Barcelona against Napoli. We've also got Ferran Torres, Balde, and Marcos Alonso, but Ferran Torres is quite positive. He's expected to start against Napoli, or at least be available for that match. Then we've got Porto, finally, who've got Sanusi, Taremi, Marcano, and Veron, all as injury concerns, but Taremi could be available for next week in that huge game against Arsenal. Arsenal just won 6-0 against Sheffield United, and Porto won 5-0 against their fierce rivals, SL Benfica. So that's pretty much all the injury updates. If you missed any of it, please rewind. That would obviously be quite helpful, just to avoid repeat of questions. I will obviously recap some key information later on, but I don't want to just keep repeating myself throughout the whole stream, of course. Hopefully you do understand that. Let's go through some different screens as well. We'll start off with the predictor. I can't even speak English. I generally recommend you play the UCL predictor. It's actually quite fun, even though I'm not that good at it. I put Paris Saint-Germain 1-1 against Real Sociedad, and to be honest, I actually got some good predictions in for Matchday 7. I think for one day, I got both results spot on. Bayern Munich, I put 2-0 there for the Bavarians. 2-0 to Manchester City, but I'll probably change that. I think it could be a 3-1 or something similar. And I've put 3-1 for Real Madrid, and I've currently got the booster active on Manchester City, and I haven't made the predictions yet for next week's games. If we look at the UCL Fantasy League, be sure to join. There is a link in the description below, and also throughout most of this video, you're going to see it on the left-hand side of your screen, the league code, which is very easy to, pretty much copy, and you can put it in for your tablet, your phone, whatever it may be. It's very easy to join. And this is obviously a look at all the matches. Let me just get the message out of the way. But Cylindra says, would you sell Vinicius or Kane to Mbappe? I probably wouldn't, but it's all team dependent. If you've got no other transfer to make, I don't mind that Mbappe move. I'm going to show you a stat very soon, which is very encouraging for the Frenchman. So today we've got Real Sociedad versus PSG. We're going to go through the lineup very soon. Same with Bayern Munich versus Lazio. Kim Min-jae is expected to be benched, with De Ligt and Dyer starting as the centre-backs. For Wednesday, we've got Real Madrid versus Leipzig and Manchester City versus Copenhagen. And then next week, we've got Arsenal versus Porto, Barcelona versus Napoli, Borussia Dortmund versus PSV, and Atletico Madrid versus Inter Milan. And like I said, very shortly, we're going to go through the lineups. In terms of a predicted lineup for Manchester City, the Evening Standard, or the Standard, I think it is, they've got Ederson in goal, Walker, Ruben Dias, Akanji, Gvardiol, Kovacic, Rodri, Foden, Alvarez, Oscar Bob, and Erling Haaland, who did the press conference today talking about Messi and all of that. I think Erling Haaland will be available for Matchday. He will start the game, of course. In terms of these news, of course, I'm going to stop saying of course. The most likely UCL Fantasy Matchday goal scorers, courtesy of UCL Fantasy on Twitter. Haaland is top with 65%. Then you've got Kane, Lewandowski, Bellingham, and Vinicius in the top 5. Alvarez, Mbappe, Saka, Foden, Rodrigo, Tell from Bayern Munich, and Fulkrug all completing the top 10, 11. So some decent percentages for Matchday 8. And this is the stat I'm talking about for Mbappe. The most Champions League goals and assists combined away from home since the start of the 2017-18 season. Kylian Mbappe is first with 30. Salah is second with 28. Lewandowski is third with 24. Ronaldo is still fourth, which is incredible for him, with 21, and Karim Benzema. And bear in mind, Mbappe has only played 27 games, so a great return. And I think the last time he played in Spain, unless I'm forgetting the Real Madrid games, but he scored that hat-trick against Barcelona at the Camp Nou. It wouldn't surprise me if he did something similar against Real Sociedad, who, like I said, are really struggling at the moment with one win in the last 9 games across all competitions. And this is what I mentioned earlier. Kim Min-jae was not with the A team in the final training session today. The Korean is likely to start on the bench against Lazio tomorrow, with De Ligt and Dyer preferred as centre-back. Of course, this was written yesterday. The game will happen tonight in just a couple of hours' time. Let's see the confirmation of that, but it's not looking good for Kim Min-jae owners, including myself. But let's now go to the transfer section. And these are my current transfer plans. Buy Bellingham for De Bruyne, also a Kanji and potentially another defender like Joao Cancelo, but there could be some changes. It could be Gvardiol instead of a Kanji. I might even go for 2 Man City defenders at the same time and have that base covered. Maybe even go for a Bayern Munich defender like De Ligt or Eric Dyer. So the options are still quite open. I'm also considering Vinicius to Mbappe, but as things stand, I think my defence is the priority. If Lucas Hernandez starts, I'll keep him, but I'm still quite wary of his minutes, and I hope he makes it for the 60 minutes and then he's subbed off. Otherwise, that could be a disaster. But my defence in both FPL and UCL Fantasy is the weakest part of my squad, and I'll keep you updated in terms of my transfer plans, but I might leave until the very end. You know me by now. Let's get back to your questions. It has been a while, of course, but I'm trying to cover all the news you need. Yeah, Vinicius plays tomorrow. There's no doubt about that for me. Is Sane fit enough to start? He did team training, so let's see what happens, but I assume so, and we're going to find out very soon. So in terms of Bayern Munich questions on the lineup, we're going to find out in 20-30 minutes, so we can just save that, in my opinion. Luis Anibal says, estoy buscando un defensa barato. ¿Quién me recomiendas? Eric Dyer, quizás, y es muy raro que diga algo así, porque Eric Dyer hace mucho que juega bien, pero en el Bayern Múnich le está yendo bastante bien, y para mí, 4.5 millones, parece que va a empezar el partido con De Ligt. No es una mala opción. También tienes a Madsen o Ryerson de Borussia Dortmund. Captain Bellingham, KDB, Haaland or Foden on Wednesday. Well, wait for the lineups first, of course, and then you can finally decide. I think KDB will be benched. Assuming they all start, I'd go for a Man City player, to be honest, but based on my projections on who starts or not, I think Haaland or Foden to captain on Wednesday. Hakimi or Cancelo? I'm currently going for Cancelo, but that's pretty much because I've got Lucas Hernandez already. If Hernandez is benched, I'd be quite tempted by Hakimi, but bear in mind, one more yellow and Hakimi is suspended. Kane or Mbappe? I prefer Kane this week. Sven says, I consider Kane for Haaland, Musiala for Kimmich, and Bellingham for Foden. Thoughts? Good transfers, but I'm not going to lie to you. I think Haaland and Foden start, and if they do, that could be a disaster waiting to happen. Unless you're going the other way round, but let me know. Like I said, I think Haaland and Foden start. Barca will concede 100%. Yes, but the good thing about Cancelo is the attacking potential. You're right, I don't trust them defensively. Despite their good run in recent times, Napoli are a good offensive outfit. They scored 6 goals the other day as well. Yes, Goldhead, I don't think so. Because, for example, Gvardiol is now back. It's a really good time now to play him. You've also got Kanji who was benched at the weekend. For Ake to start in the Manchester Derby, in the Champions League, and against Liverpool at Anfield, which I expect, I think that's too many games in a row. And De Bruyne is even worse. He started against Luton. He started against Manchester United. Played quite poorly by his standards. I don't think he's going to play or start the game against Copenhagen. If he does, that means he's definitely benched in FPL. Vinicius or Mbappe? Vinicius for this week. I do like Mbappe a lot and is very close. But based on this match day and also the long-term prospects and how far I expect Real Madrid to go, I'd probably go for the Brazilian, to be honest. When is Kobo returning? Probably by the end of the month, so he's probably going to miss Matchday 8. Might be back for Matchday 9, though. I disagree, Saga. I think UCL Fantasy is more fun, but everyone's got their own opinion. Silva or Kimmich? Silva or Kimmich? I'd go for Kimmich. De Bruyne to Foden or Bellingham? That is a great question. Assuming Foden starts, I'd rather go for Foden. For Matchday 8 only, though. Long term, I think Bellingham is just the best midfielder, period. So I'd probably just play it safe and go for Bellingham. Try find a way to get both, though, if you can. What about Galeno versus Arsenal away? Look, Galeno's been really good this season. He also got a brace, I think, against Benfica, but I don't think he'll do anything against Arsenal at the Emirates. Of course, you never know. Football can be a humbler, but I think Arsenal will get the job done, and I don't really trust Galeno away from home. Most of his returns, if not all of them, have come... Well, to be fair, there was that big haul against Shakhtar in Matchday 1. But yeah, I think Arsenal will get the job done and potentially keep a clean sheet too. Dylan, a predicted Real Madrid squad, if we can access, Real Madrid defender could be good. Yeah, I'll try to have a look. But like I mentioned, Eder Militao and Alaba are out. They played Tchouameni as a centre-back against Valencia. I think Rudiger is another one. I think he's now back in the squad. So Rudiger could start. Nacho, he's kind of in and out of the side at the moment, but it could be Ferland Mendy starting as well. I try to find a predicted lineup, but just bear in mind Eder Militao and Alaba are out. How many points is a hit here? -4 as well. But you get free transfers for Matchday 8, then you get 5 free transfers for Matchday 9. Kane or Mbappe? Yeah, we're going to get a lot of repeat questions, and I'm, like I always say in my streams, if you do repeat questions and spam, I'm not going to answer them, but Kane or Mbappe? Kane for me, for Matchday 8. This game week, Eddie, lol. Bear with me, Dylan. Last Matchday I did nothing. Don't worry, mate. We all have those match days with us. Trini says FPL for me all day. Cup Fantasy at the end. All have the same players. I disagree, mate. In UCL Fantasy, it's actually much more open, and the template is far less strong as it is in FPL. I think FPL is really like... A lot of people have the same team. Engaged managers anyway. I think UCL Fantasy has a lot more variety. You're right, when we get to the semi-finals and final, that's when everyone pretty much has the same team. It comes down to captaincy choices and 1 or 2 different picks. But I'd say until the quarterfinals, UCL Fantasy is very open, to say the least. PSG, Mbappe, Nuno Mendes start tonight. Yeah, I saw a predicted lineup there as well. I try to go through that very soon. Let me just see here 1 second. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why the chat is kind of bugging out a little bit. Just give me a second. All right, so we do have over 400 people watching. Be sure to smash the like button and get those likes up. We can definitely do a much better job with that. And yeah, that's the other thing I wanted to cover. The PSG predicted lineup. I did see one, and Lucas Hernandez was there. So let's go back to Twitter. And according to RMC Sport, it could be Donnarumma, Hakimi, Marquinhos, or Danilo, Lucas Hernandez, and Nuno Mendes as the back 5. By back 5, I also include Donnarumma there as a defensive 5. Vitinha, Reis, Zaire-Emery, Dembele, Mbappe, and Barcola. So that is the expected lineup. But we're going to find out very soon about PSG and Bayern Munich, the two teams we're really interested in for the Tuesday. So let's keep an eye out. And once the lineups are official, I'll be covering it on this channel, of course. But let's now go back to my team without making any transfers. It's looking quite decent, but the defense is a cause for concern. There are some rotation risks there, including Kim Min-jae, which I've covered already. So let's whiz through these. It's going to be a busy night, that's for sure. Dylan, what's your opinion on Barca's situation right now, especially now that all our young talents are injured? Yeah, massive blows today, Pedri and De Jong. And to be honest, Pedri does seem like an injury-prone player, unfortunately. And it might be due to a combination of factors such as, well, him being completely overplayed at such a young age. Hopefully he can avoid these injuries in the future. But yeah, with Barcelona, look, they have potential, but I think La Liga is far beyond them now. I don't think they have, I wouldn't say any chance, but the chance of them winning Champions League this season are very slim. I do think they'll get back to the top again, or at least win La Ligas and stuff like that very soon, but it's going to take time, and they need to get the managerial appointment spot on. But yeah, with the injuries, it is a big concern. But then again, everyone gets injuries. You know, United have had it all season. Chelsea, even Arsenal, they've been dealing with it quite well. Liverpool right now have an injury crisis. It's part of the game, unfortunately. Good luck to you as well, Wei Seng. Best defender under 5 million or under. I'd say one of Maatsen, Ryerson, or yeah, I think one of those two would probably pique my interest, Maatsen or Ryerson. Also, Eric Dyer, if he starts, is pretty decent. Musiala or Kane, I'd go for Harry Kane. Safe. I'm keeping her then, says Goldhead. Looks like Ake, Kim Min-jae to Hakimi, KDB to Jude, and maybe Kimmich to Odegaard if I have the money. Fair enough, yeah. I think Kimmich to Odegaard could be quite decent. I'm not a big fan of Kimmich nowadays, but for his price, he's still not too shabby. Lazio players to target. You want a Lazio player? Interesting. Probably Immobile, but he's sometimes benched and comes on as a super sub. But I'm not a big fan of Lazio assets. I had Patrick in Matchday 6. He was quite good for me, but he's injured. So, yeah, I think Bayern Munich will get the job done. Dylan, should we take out Hakan Çalhanoğlu? There is a chance he misses out. I think there are better midfielders to go for. So if you can do Hakan to Foden or Bellingham, I'd do it, to be honest. Even Odegaard. It's the history of PSG to bottle the UCL. Won't be surprised if PSG lose 3-0. Yeah, I agree. I don't think PSG are, certainties to go through. But I still think they'll get the job done. Real Sociedad are in a really rough patch, and PSG are unbeaten since November, a 2-1 defeat against AC Milan. Sell Galeno for a -4 or keep him? If yes, any suggestion? I'm not sure if I'd sell him for a -4, but do I expect Galeno to return? No, I don't. Obviously, a great goal he scored against Arsenal the other week, but I think Arsenal were just off it that day. They were kind of maybe settling for a draw, trying not to lose the game, but yeah, I think if Arsenal play the way they're doing in the Premier League, they could annihilate Porto. But yeah, I'm not really a big fan of Galeno. I wouldn't sell him for a -4 hit, though. Thoughts about Hummels? He should start with Schlotterbeck suspended, but Hummels has started one game this year in 2024, and that was against PSV Eindhoven. And he's one yellow card away from suspension in the Champions League. I'm a bit concerned about him, to be honest. Real Madrid had more injuries to crisis than Barca this season. It's all relative, right? I think maybe Barcelona have had more key injuries, but Real Madrid, in terms of quantity, you're right. They've always had 7+ players. It's now that they're finally getting players back. Like I said, everyone gets injuries. So, you obviously do feel sympathy sometimes, especially for great players being injured, but it's part of the game. Who to keep between Walker and Ake? I think Walker's more likely to start, so that would be my answer. And how's a move to Kimmich, to Rice, or which Arsenal player, apart from Saka? I'd say Odegaard in the midfield. I wouldn't go for Rice. I think Kimmich is a better option, UCL fantasy-wise. And one more yellow for Rice, and he's suspended. So I wouldn't go for Declan Rice. Will De Bruyne play? I don't think so. He might come off the bench, but I don't think he starts. Tech XCO says, who's the biggest sell between Çalhanoğlu and Brahim Diaz? I'd say Diaz, but, Çalhanoğlu's an injury out. There's no guarantee he starts, and it's Atletico Madrid away. Whilst with Diaz, he's been in good form recently. He even got an assist the other day against Valencia off the bench, but I don't think he starts, so his ceiling is limited as a result. Dylan, who should we pick as a replacement for Hakan for a hit around the same price? I mentioned Foden and Bellingham. If you can't get to them, then I would consider potentially a Kimmich still. I mean, for a hit is a bit pushing it, I'm not a big fan of that. Thank you, Wei Sing. Always a pleasure talking to you. Sell Çalhanoğlu for Odegaard for a -4? I don't think so. I don't think it's worth a -4 hit necessarily. Dylan, do you think I should do this? I have the exact funds. KDB, Hernandez, Acerbi to Jude, Gabriel and Cancelo. Yes, I probably would. Now, with Lucas Hernandez, he might start today, so don't make that transfer yet. Wait for the lineup. If Hernandez starts, I probably wouldn't do that transfer of Hernandez to Gabriel or to Cancelo. And to be honest, despite me mentioning Cancelo, I might not go for him, to be honest. He's I just like him as a UCL fantasy option, but I don't trust Barcelona defensively. Thoughts on Brais Mendes? He's not been in great form. Real Sociedad are in terrible form overall. I wouldn't go for him at the moment. Anibal says, vi el anterior video donde sustentabas lo de Bruyne. ¿Algo ha cambiado? ¿Crees que empiece? No, para mí no va a empezar el partido porque Manchester City juega con Liverpool en el fin de semana y jugó con Luton Town, empezó el partido, jugó 90 minutos en el Manchester Derby, no jugó muy bien tampoco. Y para mí es muy raro que De Bruyne empiece 3 partidos seguidos en este año, el año pasado, así que para mí no va a empezar el partido. Haaland y Foden sí, yo creo que van a empezar el partido, especialmente con Haaland, pero Ake y De Bruyne no tengo mucha confianza. Anguissa, not a bad shout, but I think it was a better UCL fantasy option last season. Does Darmian start? I haven't seen any Inter Milan predicted lineups, but he did start the last Champions League game. I do think he forms part of Inter Milan's best defence. Dumfries has fallen out of favour a little bit. Hasn't started as many games recently. My guess would be yes, but it's not a certainty. Hummels or Saliba? That's a great question. I do prefer Hummels for Matchday 8, but he is a suspension risk. Is a Limitless wildcard worth for this Matchday? I believe so, but a lot of these questions are team dependent, and I don't want to sit on the fence, but without knowing your team, it's difficult for me to say definitively yes or no. But I have mentioned in my chip strategy guide a few months ago, if you don't use the chips until the knockout stages, what I'd probably do is Limitless Matchday 8 and wildcard in Matchday 9. Yeah, potentially Ivans, you might be right. Thank you very much, J-Dub. What, you can see the Star Wars thing, right? If so, then that's pretty good. Kivior or Ben White? Kivior's been in great form, and it was really surprising to see him at 6 million in the first place, but he's been in incredible form, getting goals and assists every game, pretty much. However, with Timber and Tomiyasu close to a return, Zinchenko knocking on the door too, I think Ben White is just a safer pick. Adil, Dylan, the stat about Mbappe you showed earlier, the fact that Salah's only 2 behind Mbappe. Yeah, true, that is true. I think Salah hasn't featured in 1 or 2 seasons, so yeah, you're right to point that out, but unfortunately Salah is irrelevant in this UCL Fantasy conversation, at least for this season. Havertz is a differential. He's in great form, so I honestly don't mind that so much now. I think Havertz, now look, I think he's doing a good job for Arsenal in recent games. Since November, you can argue he's been performing in most matches, but in terms of pure output, goals and assists, Saka's the best Arsenal midfielder, then it's Odegaard, and then I'd consider Havertz, with Martinelli being a forward in UCL Fantasy. But as a differential, I honestly don't mind it. And if, for example, Saka's off the pitch, Havertz could be on penalties from time to time, and I think he's only missed 1 throughout his career. But most importantly, I think with Havertz, he can play up top, but just be wary that Jesus is back and Trossard is also available. Worth it? Will Coble come back for UCL? According to Sports Gambler and other websites I've seen, Kobel's probably out for the month, so that means he misses Matchday 8. I think it could be worth a transfer. Don't make a -4 hit for a goalkeeper though, if you can. Best defense in your opinion? Check out my best Limitless and Wildcard team videos, but I'd say one of Akanji or Gvardiol, maybe even both. I'd also go for Marquinhos if he starts. I'd also go for one of De Ligt or probably Dyer. Then I'd go for a Saliba and potentially Hummels, something like that as your defensive setup. Thank you, Lager, for moderating the chat. Try not to spam, by the way, because otherwise your chat will be deleted. Thoughts on Havertz we've covered. Kane or Mbappe for captaincy? I personally prefer Kane this week. I need a midfielder. I got 7.4 million to spare. I do like Kimmich still, to be quite honest with you. But if I had to think a bit outside the box, let me double check this. So let's look at midfielders at 7.4 million and see what we can conjure up here. Keep on smashing the like button. It'd be massively appreciated. Consider joining the channel as a channel member or patron. You can get access to my videos early, and sometimes it can be days early, if not hours early, but you always get the content early. And not only that, priority reply to comments in all live streams and videos, and much more, including DMs. We can always talk, and be sure to join the Discord server. It's a great community, and you'll be up to date with everything you need to know for UCL Fantasy and FPL. So midfielders at 7.5 million and below. I think Trossard, if he starts, could be a nice differential, but he is a risk in terms of rotation and minutes. So I think if I had to, go for someone, I do like Rodri, Kimmich. I think with Rodri, though, he's not a differential, which has to also be taken into account. Galeno, obviously, is a good shout, despite the fact that you wouldn't back him to do necessarily well in the away fixture, but you can't really ignore how well he's doing this season. He's the highest scoring UCL Fantasy midfielder and player for a reason. If I had to pick one player and narrow it down, I think it would be, and I did say Brahim Diaz last week. This week, I'm going to go for, let's see what we can conjure up. Thuram is now back, so that's not a bad shout. His ownership is 9%. You know what? I think if he starts, my favourite could potentially be Oscar Bob. 4.5 million midfielder. I have a good feeling that he's going to start. I think Oscar Bob really springs to mind. Yeah, that's going to be my pick. It's a very, very risky. So, of course, it's not for the faint of heart, but could really work out for you. Best Yamal replacements, 0.6 million in the bank. Okay, another good question. It's quite similar to what we just covered. So Yamal, 7.4 million, got 0.6, so you can go up to 8 million here. Let's see. Let's change the parameters. 8 million midfielders and below. I mean, Bellingham for me, if you don't have him, is the best one. Otherwise, we're looking at, let's see, difficult, but yeah, Bellingham if you don't have him. Let me know if you have Bellingham or not. But yeah, I think he'd be the simple answer in that scenario. Will Brahim Diaz start? I don't think so. Bellingham is back. He got sent off in the 99th minute against Valencia. Brahim Diaz came off the bench and got an assist. But yeah, good luck, Trini. It's very risky. I'm not going to lie to you. So, and Oscar Bob might not even start, but I think he does. And as a result, he'll do well. But just bear in mind, it is risky. Thank you, Haribo, for the super chat. It's always appreciated. You don't have to, mate. You've sent plenty in the past. Hi, Dylan. Did Saliba to DeMarco have Gabriel? Fair enough. Kalinoglu to Bellingham. And now need 0.4 million. Was thinking Mbappe to Vinicius or Kane to Lautaro. Thoughts? Look, I'm a Lautaro fan. Despite his poor World Cup, he scored that crucial penalty for Argentina. And for Inter Milan, he's so underrated. Look at his record this season. 26 goals in 34 games. Although probably updated since the Monday night game. I need to double check that. But I think Kane to Lautaro would be a big downgrade considering Inter Milan are playing Atletico Madrid away. That's going to be a tough game despite Inter Milan's great form. And they're, one of the best teams in Europe at the moment. Probably better than Bayern Munich. But I think the better move, despite how good Mbappe is, and I hope it doesn't backfire for you, I think Mbappe to Vinicius is my preference. And not just for this match day, but also for the long term. So let me know what you end up going for. But if I had to pick, it's probably Mbappe to Vinicius. Gonzalo says safe picks. A lot of them are covered in the best wildcard and limitless videos, but Bellingham, safe pick. He might not work out this match day. Pretty poor record against Leipzig, but overall, safe picks. Saka as well. Harry Kane, Vinicius or Mbappe, Erling Haaland, all safe. I think Foden is. Of course, there's a slight chance of rotation. He had a dead leg during the Manchester derby, but he was training today, and a lot of lineups do have him projected to start. I think Zaire Emery for his price, there's not much risk attached there. I'd also consider probably one of Maatsen or Ryerson at the back for Borussia Dortmund, very cheap. Eric Dyer, if he starts, is quite safe, I think. Then you're looking at one of a Kanji or Gvardiol. So those are plenty of safe options for you in each position. In goal, my favourites are Lunin and Sommer. How do you feel about triple in teams that lost the first leg? I'm confident that both of them will go through. Of course, there's always a risk, and I've been, punished sometimes for overindulging in certain teams. So there is a risk, but I'm very confident Arsenal and Bayern Munich will go through. After Bayern's weekend game, do you think they can go through? Yes, I don't trust Lazio. Look, there are some records that do go against Bayern Munich, but most of the stats do favour them. And their home record in the Champions League is incredible over the years. So I'm not really too fussed about that. Best forward under 9 million. I think Rodrigo is just over that, if I'm not mistaken. So let me double check this for you. But I think Fulkrug does come to mind at home to PSV. I think he could be decent, but he's not my favourite, to be quite honest with you. So bear that in mind. Yeah, 9 million forwards or below. That's not looking great, I'm not going to lie to you. Not a big fan of this list. What else could we go for? I think Alvarez, if he starts, and I think he will. I think I'd go for Alvarez or Martinelli. And once again, just to reiterate, Saka came off against Sheffield United due to an illness, and Martinelli had a cut, but he's absolutely fine. He should be available for Game Week 28 in FPL, and also as a result, Matchday 8 in UCL Fantasy. So my picks would be Alvarez first and Martinelli second. Fulkrug probably third. Be sure to keep on plugging away at the likes. Sam says, love the content for FPL and UCL. What changes would you make for the Limitless? Okay, so for the Limitless, I've got it on screen for me. So Lunin and Neuer in goal. I wouldn't change that. Ruben Diaz, Hummels, Kim Min-jae. Yeah, at the back, I'd probably change Kim Min-jae. Let's see what the lineup is right now. It's probably coming out as I'm speaking. But if Kim Min-jae is benched, I'd replace him with probably another Man City defender. Or I would go for De Ligt, Alphonso Davies if he starts, or Eric Dyer. Even Molina could be a sell. Despite being at home, it's Inter Milan, who are just incredible at the moment. So that could be another change. So yeah, really it's changing, adding another Man City defender and potentially bringing in a Bayern Munich defender to replace Kim Min-jae. In the midfield, I'd sell De Bruyne. I think he'll be benched. And I would probably go for... This is where it gets tricky, I think, the midfield. But this is tricky. I think Musiala could be a shout against Lazio at home. I think the front three remains the same. Maybe Vinicius over Mbappe. But that's the only changes I'd really make on the Limitless. So let me know if you got that, Sam. Miguel says, acabo de llegar y no sé si lo habrás dicho. Pero si no puedo hacer cambios, ¿apostarías por De Bruyne y Foden o Kimmich y Zaire-Emery? Yo no creo que De Bruyne va a empezar el partido. Ese es mi problema. Foden también es una duda, pero yo creo que va a empezar. Y con Kimmich y Zaire-Emery, seguramente ambos van a empezar el partido y vamos a enterar en algunos minutos, pero por esa razón yo pondría a Kimmich y Zaire-Emery, pero es difícil porque para mí Foden es increíble in UCL Fantasy. Is using a wildcard Limitless fine for this match day? Yes, but I do prefer the Limitless. I've covered this before. Mbappe, but I have to sell Saka, says Ono. I wouldn't sell Saka, to be honest. So if you can go to Vinicius and keep Saka, I'd do that. Foden to Bellingham. Long-term, Bellingham's the better option, but I wouldn't sell Foden. Now, if you think Foden is benched, fair enough, but I personally think he starts. Conrad, it's not like I want to transfer out KDB, but do you honestly think he's going to start against Copenhagen and against Liverpool? So really, if you think KDB starts tomorrow, he's almost certainly going to be benched at the weekend, and that's Liverpool and Man City's biggest games of the season. Look, it's not about KDB's form. I have no questions about that. I mean, he played poorly against Man United, but 4 assists against Luton Town, nothing to be scoffed at. Yeah, I can't be much clearer than that. It's purely down to projected lineups. I haven't seen any Man City predicted lineup from fans or from inside sources or those that have pretty reliable predictions that have KDB in the starting lineup. If you want to keep him, up to you, but I personally don't think he starts. Should I insist bringing in Bellingham? You don't need to bring in Bellingham because he's got 0 goals and 0 assists against Leipzig in 6 appearances with 3 yellow cards. And against Valencia, dare I say, he looked a bit rusty. But I think Bellingham is the best midfielder in the game in terms of value. And long-term, he will pay off the transfer. It seems Guerrero is starting based on Davis' drama. Is Guerrero plus Bernardo Musiala better than Diaz and Calhanoglu? I'd probably say so. And that's mainly because Calhanoglu is a doubt and he's facing Atletico Madrid away. Ruben Diaz will probably start, but there is no guarantee that will happen tomorrow. I do prefer Manchester City defensively over Bayern Munich and also in the long term, but I think because of Calhanoglu, the injury doubt and the fixture, I'd go for the first duo. Let's go through the predicted lineups, or no, let's go for the actual lineups right now. So PSG's has just come out according to someone in the chat, so thank you for letting me know. So let's go to UEFA.com. I'm going to pause this. Yeah, UEFA, don't copyright strike me. So, Donnarumma's in goal. Nuno Mendes, Lucas Hernandez, Beraldo, and Hakimi complete the back four. Fabian Ruiz, Vitinha, and Zaire-Emery complete the midfield. Barcola, Mbappe, and Dembele as the front three. So, RMC Sport got that lineup completely spot on. I did show it earlier. So, yeah, PSG's lineup is out. So is Real Sociedad's. Ramiro in goal. Traore, Zubeldia, Lenormand, and Galan. Brais Mendes, Zubimendi, Merino, and Becker. And by the way, Barrenechea is injured. That's an update from the videos. Also, Kubo and Oyarzabal are up front for Real Sociedad, who have 1 win in the last 9 games, facing PSG, who are off the back of 2 consecutive draws and who are unbeaten since November, that 2-1 defeat against AC Milan away from home. So that is the Real Sociedad versus PSG lineup. Let's see if Bayern Munich is out. Not yet, but we will get that lineup very soon. Once it's out, I'll be covering it here on the channel. We'll keep this up for a little while longer though, the PSG and Real Sociedad lineup. I definitely recommend UEFA.com and check the matches section because they have predicted lineups. They also compile all the latest injury updates and have everything in one page for the 2 respective teams involved. Be sure to drop a like as always. Subscribe to the channel as we're pushing on towards 23k. That'd be massively appreciated. I don't think so safe, but let's wait and see. Sell Calhanoglu. If you can, I think it could be a good transfer. And look, Calhanoglu's not bad. He's good for ball recoveries. He's on penalties. But based on the fixture and the injury doubt, if you can go to Bellingham, Foden, Saka, and plenty of midfielders, even Musiala. I think it's definitely worth it. Dylan, would you get Beraldo or a Bayern defender? Probably a Bayern defender. Best time to play my wildcard, thanks Dylan. It's team dependent, but I'd rather, for most people, I'd play in Matchday 9, if not Matchday 11. My problem with wildcarding now is that you could get some picks wrong and they're eliminated in the next round. And whilst you get 5 free transfers, yeah, look, that does compensate a little bit for it, but there is a risk attached there. So my preference is wildcarding a Matchday 9. If your team is looking quite weak for this week, then fair enough, but I think Matchday 9 looks best for most people. Trini says, so Dylan, I got Haaland, Foden, Bob, Diaz for City. Yeah, look, I personally think all 4 of them start, but you never know in football. Not in my opinion, Nuclear, based on the fixture. And Lautaro has been a bit underwhelming in UCL Fantasy. I'm a bit surprised about some of the Player of the Match awards he earned this season, and I do like Lautaro. For me, the best under 9 million forwards, which I covered a few minutes ago, Martinelli is up there, but I think number 1 is Alvarez this week, who I think will start against Copenhagen. So Alvarez first, Martinelli second, and Fulkrug third. Lautaro is probably 4th. If the fixture was better, then yeah, he'd certainly be up there. Yeah, Aleph, literally the lineup is on your right. Wait, what? Oh, right, okay. I was on the wrong screen, I apologize for that. So let me show you the lineup. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. Yeah, here we go. So, wrong tabs. It affected me in FPL and also in UCL Fantasy. In UCL Fantasy? Yeah. So, these are lineups. You can just check both of them out on the right-hand side. I read them out earlier. And the buying lineup will be out imminently. So, I'll leave this on. Why is this video on loop? Honestly, I honestly don't know what UEFA are doing here. So, in a few minutes, I'll go through the buying lineup. It should be out anytime now. And let's go back to your questions. And very soon I'll be locking in my transfers. Yep, Bayern team is out. Okay, we'll go for it now. So Bayern's team is Manuel Neuer, De Ligt, Kimmich, Goretzka, Kane. Sane returns after being injured recently. Eric Dyer comes in for Kim Min-jae. What is Tuchel doing? Guerrero, Thomas Müller, Musiala, and Pavlovic. So, yeah, the big surprise is Kim Min-jae being benched. Obviously, if you were maybe quite active on Twitter, you would have seen these rumours circulating already, but I think that news was surprising in itself when I saw it earlier today. Today, I'm crying. Lazio's lineup is out, but really is nothing to talk about. I think the best player to buy is Immobile. I think he could get something. I don't think Lazio keep a clean sheet. Yeah, and Patridge was a nice budget defender, but he's currently injured. So, yeah, Immobile is the only Lazio player I would genuinely consider. And even then, I think there are better alternatives elsewhere. So, yeah, the buy lineup is out. Kim Min-jae is benched. He will be removed from my UCL Fantasy team. And it's such a shame because he's got 60 ball recoveries for the season, only behind Hummels. And I think he's a great UCL Fantasy option. It's a shame he's benched. I don't know what Tuchel was doing. Once again, I'm on the wrong screen, by the way. So let's go here. You can see the lineups on your right. If we look at the substitutes very quickly as well, we've got De Peretz, Ulrich, Kim Min-jae, Gnabry, he's returned as well, Choupo-Moting, Zaragoza, Davis, Lima, and Tell. So yeah, those are the lineups. I'll leave it for a little while longer, and then we'll go back to my team and talk about the impact on my UCL Fantasy transfer plans. Vinicius or Haaland? Haaland. In terms of captaincy, though, captain Vinicius today and then Haaland tomorrow. Mark SSSS says Kimmich or Musiala. In terms of pure attacking potential, it'd be Musiala, but Kimmich does offer good value. It's all team dependent, but if you can afford it, I'd go for Musiala. Kimmich will be playing as a right back today. Or should I sell Mbappe, Haaland, or Vinicius to pick Kane? I don't think I'd sell one of them necessarily. If I had to sell one, it's probably Mbappe, but that's so risky. I think Mbappe could still do really well. And I wish I bought him in last week instead of Vinicius, who, for the first time this season, blanked in the Champions League. Evening, Dylan. Has been a long time. Ake to Akanji, Rico Lewis. I'd go for Akanji. Rico Lewis did start a lot of games in the group stages, but I think Akanji is your safe bet. Kim Min-jae replacement. I've covered this a lot of times in this video, but you can go for a like, such as Eric Dyer or De Ligt. You can go for a second Man City defender, so Akanji or maybe Gvardiol, for example. Bayern are in ruins. Kim Min-jae is the biggest reason they keep clean sheets. Yeah, honestly, I have no idea. And look, even when Tuchel was at Chelsea, I always thought he was a bit overrated. He's a good manager, but I don't know. That's very questionable. He's been very poor at Bayern Munich. I think the only reason Bayern Munich won the league last season was because Borussia Dortmund bottled it, really. Do you think Rodri will start? That's a good question. You know, normally it's a no-brainer. He will start, but to be honest, Rodri has just played every single 3 or 4 days, and Man City fans are just begging for Guardiola to rest him. Great question. I think from the lineups I've seen, I think Rodri still starts. So if we just go and reference this very quickly. So let's go to the... Let's see. Yeah, let's go to this particular lineup from the standard. Yeah, Rodri's in it. So, I don't know. That's obviously take it with a pinch of salt. I think it's a good chance to rest him, but I personally think Rodri starts, but he might not play the full 90 as he usually does. Let's now go back to my team. As you can see, I've got a few problems, but Lucas Anders starts, yet Kim Min-jae is benched. There's always something, right? Perfectly balanced as all things should be, or in my case, perfectly imbalanced because my defense is trash. Keep on plugging away the likes. We do have over 600 people watching. Let's get this stream to over 300 likes. We can definitely do that and push ever closer towards 23k subscribers. Also consider joining me on Discord, and Twitter and Instagram for all the latest FPL and UCL Fantasy updates, and become a channel member or patron for early access to my videos and also priority reply to comments. Aki to Stones. I don't think Stones starts either, to be honest. Sane or Odegaard. I'd probably go for Odegaard. And look, I'm usually a fan of Sane in UCL Fantasy, but he hasn't been that impressive this season in all comps. I think Thuram is decent, but once again, Inter Milan Atletico, I'd avoid that fixture offensively. If you've got Sommer, you keep because of his value, and long-term he could be great, but I wouldn't be adding players from this fixture. It's still in the balance this tie. Thuram is out of position, but he just came back from an injury, and Atletico Madrid at home are still very tough to beat. Look, Inter Milan are the better team. They're in form. They're more likely to go through, but I don't think I'd buy Thuram. Do you think Bernardo will play? No, but I could be wrong about all of these Man City questions. Do I transfer De Bruyne out? I would recommend it personally. It's just my opinion. I think he'll be benched. A lot of predicted lineups also say the same. Sell Danish. We sell him. Upamecano suspended. Kim Min-jae is benched. It makes sense to sell them. Phobia says, your thoughts on Kvaratskhelia? I covered your question earlier, mate. I bought him in Matchday 6. I don't really like Kvaratskhelia as a UCL fantasy option. In terms of goals and assists, he's been quite inconsistent since March last year. He can have a great game and not get any attacking contributions. So, Ake nailed. I don't think he starts this week, personally. It's up to you if you keep him, but I personally am looking to sell. Yeah, I think he's a bad pick. Musiala or Sane? Probably Musiala. In your last Limitless, who will be your best replacement for KDB? I covered this a few minutes ago, and if I'm not mistaken, I said Musiala. Is Doku or Bob an option? Doku hasn't trained. Don't go for Doku. Oscar Bob, I think, will start, and I think he's a much better alternative. Definitely a much better chance and prospect of starting than Doku, who didn't train. Same with Grealish. Will Haaland play? I believe so. Pick 2. Probably Maatsen and this week Dyer, but I don't think Dyer's a long-term pick. It's just really a one-match-day punt. Mbappe or Kane captain tonight? I'd go for Kane. -4 for Kim Min-jae to De Ligt for set-piece threat. I'm not sure if that's worth a -4, to be honest. And De Ligt has been subbed off early on many occasions this season, just like Kimmich. Molina or Saliba? Saliba. Thoughts on Hakimi as a pick? Thanks, Dylan. It's not bad, but one more yellow and he's suspended. I think Sociedad score. So he's decent, and he was, talked about a lot in my Limitless and Wildcard videos, but he's not the best option to buy this week, personally. Nuno Mendes could be a decent shout as well, but yeah, I think my favourite PSG defender is Marquinhos in general. Of course, he just came back from an injury, and if we go back to the lineup, he isn't in it. So based on those that are starting right now, I think my favourite is probably Beraldo based on pure value, 4.5 million. Then it's probably Hakimi. And yeah, Nuno Mendes is a nice shout, differential, and he genuinely starts for PSG when he's fit. The problem is he does pick up a few injuries. So yeah, as I said, let's try to get this stream to over 300 likes. It'd be massively appreciated. KDB replacement, I literally just covered this, mate. For me, probably Musiala from the Limitless video. The rest are all covered in the Limitless squad that I showed the other day. 7.5 million, and I need the midfielder. I think I've covered this as well, so I'm just trying to remember who I mentioned earlier. I think Oscar Bob is a nice differential for 1 week, but yeah, 7.5 million. I think I would go for... I like Zaire Emery, to be fair. Zaire Emery and Oscar Bob do spring to mind for me. And of course, Kimmich and Rodri are quite safe, especially Kimmich, who is starting. Raya isn't out. The only reason he's red flagged in FPL is because he can't play against Brentford, his parent club. He's currently on loan from them. Raya is available. He will start in Matchday 8. ¿Qué piensas de Guerrero? No está mal. Guerrero también se lesiona bastante. Ese es mi problema con Guerrero, pero en términos de asistencia y creando oportunidades, es mejor que todos los otros defensores de Bayern Múnich, salvo a Alphonso Davies, que está en el banco, así que no me molesta tanto. Kim and Jai -4 for who? Someone who gets low ball recoveries or has attacking potential. So Joao Cancelo could be one, Hakimi, Molina. Also Man City defender potentially. You can go for a Bayern Munich defender as a like for like, but yeah, just be a bit careful with that, because most of the time when you take a hit for a defender, it doesn't pay off, especially if it's a 1 week punt. Yeah, I don't mind it. Like I said, I'm quite confident Arsenal will go through, assuming they turn up against Porto, of course. But if they do, yeah, I think a double up could be quite good. How much should we take into account what teams need to do after the first result, like Bayern and Arsenal needing goals and PSG already being 2 up? That's a great question. You should definitely take into account. So with Arsenal, they could be a little bit open because they know what to do. They need to attack the game and score as many goals as possible, at least score 2+. So yeah, maybe in terms of doubling up, as I just mentioned with Arsenal, whilst they have the best defence in Europe at the moment, based on the game state and what they need to do, you'd rather go for the attackers in Matchday 8 specifically. So that's a great question, and I think we should take into account. Take out Rodri or Kimmich for Bellingham. I'd rather take out Rodri, because with Kimmich, you know he's playing. With Rodri, there's a slight chance he's benched. Time for gluten-free Carvajal. Yeah, I mean, look, it's not a bad shout. For me, the best way to cover Real Madrid defensively is Lunin. So if you've got him, I think you could avoid the double up for Real Madrid defensively, because Leipzig are capable of scoring. My prediction is 3-1. You think Sula will play? Yes, Sula and Hummels, because Schlotterbeck is suspended. Thank you, Phobia. Thank you very much. So Galeno, I wouldn't sell him for a hit, but if you can sell him for free to a Bellingham, Foden, Saka, yeah, I would do it. Do I transfer Kim and Jai for another Bayern defender or pick another defender? Depends on who you have already. I don't know who you have already, but I don't mind another Bayern defender. KDB will be benched. Yeah, I agree. I cover this a lot, and some people disagree with me, which is fine. Kimmich plays as a right back, yes, but he can get ball recoveries. He's good from set pieces. He still remains a decent option, but my problem with Kimmich is being benched or being substituted early. Thank you, Trini, as always. Rico Lewis, I don't think he starts. Pick one of 3, Matson, Beraldo, Ake. Matson. KDB and Foden might be rested. I know, mate. I know that. I think Foden will play. There is a chance he's benched, but with KDB, I'm almost convinced he's benched. Guerrero or Lucas Hernandez. I go for Guerrero. Home fixture, slightly easier opponent. And with Hernandez, he has been benched quite early in recent games, so yeah. Hakan Çalhanoğlu updates. I covered all the injuries earlier, but just to recap on Çalhanoğlu, he's got a muscle problem. He's expected to be out for another week or so. I think he could be available for Matchday 8, but that isn't guaranteed. We don't know enough information on that, but if you're asking me, I think he'll be in the squad to face Atletico. I would sell him, personally. Sell Ake for Akanji? Yes. Akanji would be the answer, yeah. Jude Reddy? Yes, he played against Valencia, and he got sent off in the 99th minute. For some Sabitzer, not really too keen, to be honest. He might be a decent 1 week punt, but I would rather go for another midfielder. Thank you, MHMD. MD. Lewandowski updates, nothing really to update on. He's available, he's in good form. I don't really mind him so much, but there are better alternatives. Ake nailed. No, I answered your question earlier. Your final team, Dylan? No, it isn't. Would you sell Sane or keep? Well, he's starting, right? He just came back from an injury, so his minutes might be managed. He hasn't been in good form either, but the fixture is there. I would probably keep him. Does Bellingham start? I think so. Bellingham for De Bruyne? Yes, that's what I'm looking to do. Why is Davis not playing? He had an injury problem. I think that's why. Ben White, I have Hakimi, Matson, Ake, Saliba. Yes, I would rather go for Gabriel because of ball recoveries, but Ben White isn't a bad option. If you don't want to use all your transfers, no transfers roll in the knockout stages. In UCL Fantasy, you can roll a transfer in the group stages, but not in the knockouts. Mendy for Kim Min-jae, decent shout, but I think with Real Madrid, you just go for Lunin in goal. That's it. If you don't have Lunin, fair enough. Not a bad pick. Replace Alvarez to bring Haaland. Tricky because I think Alvarez is more likely to start and to play 90 minutes than Haaland, but I also think Haaland starts. So, yeah, overall, I think the transfer is worth it, but just bear in mind, there is a slight risk of rotation with Haaland. Rice or Zaire or Bob? I'd say Zaire Emery just for the long term. Then it'd be Oscar Bob. I wouldn't go for Declan Rice for several reasons. I don't think his ball recoveries have been that great in UCL Fantasy, and one more yellow and he's suspended. When is the deadline? When the games start at 8 o'clock, so in 53 minutes' time. Dawson DeMarco, not a big fan at the moment, and also the fixture's quite tough. Odegaard for KDB, decent shout. I talked about him in the Limitless video. He was man of the match against Sheffield United yesterday, and I think he's been Arsenal's best player since December, so I like that. Do you think Brahim Diaz and Nacho start tomorrow? Probably not. Both of them. Who should I buy for Calhanoglu? I mentioned several names, so Bellingham, Foden, Saka. If you have to go for someone cheaper, I still like Kimmich, Rodri, Zaire Emery. They're all good picks. Akanji, Zaire Emery, Bellingham in for Ake, Brahim Diaz and Lamine Yamal. Yes, absolutely fine. I like all of the transfers. I just have nothing more to say on it. Good transfers there. Who to bring in from Bayern for Kim Min-jae? Based on ball recovery potential, I think De Ligt's the best. But in terms of attacking output, Guerrero would be the best one, the most exciting one to own. I think I'd take a punt on Guerrero from the lot. Calhanoglu update, I literally just provided one, mate. He's got a muscle injury. He's a doubt for Matchday 8, but there is a chance he features. I'd personally sell because of the doubt and the fixture, which is quite tough. Guerrero or Dyer because of risk of not playing 60 minutes? Well, Dyer's more likely to play 60 plus minutes, so from that perspective, I'd go for Dyer. Oh god, Kimmich playing right back. Well, yeah, Kimmich has been playing right back in a lot of games recently. I covered this in all the UCL Fantasy videos. It's not a surprise for me. Dumfries or Carvajal? Carvajal. Kimmich or Galeno? Kimmich. I don't think Galeno returns in Matchday 8. I also think Porto get knocked out, but let's wait and see. Football is full of surprises, and Porto obviously have the advantage. As a Madrid fan, I would admit going for our fullbacks or defenders isn't the best of picks, as they are low-ceiling players. Yeah, but Carvajal is probably the most likely to get an assist from the defenders. Sell Simmons or Calhanoglu? I'm not a big fan of both in this match day. I'd probably sell Calhanoglu though. You would change Kim Min-jae? Yes. Bellingham or Musiala? Bellingham. Akanji or Diaz or Gvardiol? Diaz is the safest long term, but I think the most likely to start in Matchday 8 is Gvardiol. I'd go for Gvardiol right now. And to be honest, Akanji's a nice shout too. I think Gvardiol and Akanji definitely start in Matchday 8. And hopefully I don't mislead you there. I'm just giving you my opinion. Keep Brahim Diaz or sell? I would sell him. I don't know what your budget is, but if you can stretch to it, Foden, Saka, Bellingham are all great alternatives. Is it worth the risk to get Guerrero? I think it is worth a risk. And remember, he's playing now. If he blanks or doesn't do that well, you can always sub him out. A good defender for 5 million. Matson, Ryerson. Yeah, they're all good picks. Eric Dyer this week. I think I'll avoid selling Kim Min-jae for a hit. Yeah, I don't think this is really worth a -4 hit for defenders. The good thing about UCL Fantasy, though, is ball recoveries. So from that perspective, you know, there are more options at your disposal that can pay off the hit, but I do agree with you. Yeah, I mean, if you can sell Zubadia for free, I'd do it. He's a suspension risk. He's going to be eliminated most likely, and I don't see him keeping a clean sheet. Sociedad are in terrible form. So if you can sell him, I would. For a hit, it becomes more difficult, but it depends on who you can bring in. No, I don't think KDB will start. Do you think Ake will play? I don't think he starts. Thoughts on Di Lorenzo versus Barca? I think he concedes, maybe even a few goals. but Di Lorenzo has attacking potential. I probably would avoid him though. Vinicius or Mbappe? I prefer Vinicius this week. Hakimi or Guerrero? Guerrero this week, Hakimi longer term. Double up on PSG defenders. Not a bad shout, but I think one's enough. Simmons from Leipzig is my favorite option, but yeah, I wouldn't buy him. If I had him, maybe hold, but I wouldn't buy him. Best defender right now, whoever starts for Man City. So Akanji, Gvardiol would spring to mind. Ruben Dias. Saliba's decent. Then you've got Beraldo right now from Paris Saint-Germain. Guerrero's a 1 week punt. Hummels, Ryerson, Maatsen, take your pick from Borussia Dortmund. Mbappe to Kane. It's tricky selling any of those players, even if it's vice versa. I don't know if I'd do it, but who do I prefer this week? It would be Kane, but it is risky either way, so you have to back your gut on that one. Nuclear atoms, it can go either way. Dylan, is it worth taking a hit for a middle defender? Midfield, yes. Defense, no. Joseph, unfortunately not, because UCL Fantasy chats are very busy to say the least. So, yeah, we can say that for an FPL stream, which will be a bit more, or a bit calmer, for sure. Bring a buy mid. If you had to pick one, it's Musiala, then Sane. It's possible. I think Arsenal's record against Porto at home is incredible. They've won 2-0, 5-0, and 4-0 in the past. Yeah, they can definitely keep one. Will they? I'd probably say yes, but it's ultimately up to Arsenal. If there's no brain farts, they just turn up like they've been doing in the Premier League. I think they can easily win 3-0 or more, but it's down to Arsenal. Will Brahim Diaz start? I don't think so. Is Jesus an option? In UCL Fantasy, he is, but I'm not sure if he starts. He's just come back from an injury. Kim Min-jae is benched. Like I said, a -4 is difficult, but it's not the end of the world if you take a hit. It could end up paying off if you go for an attacking option like Guerrero. Of course, there's always the chance it backfires, but you do optimize your chance of getting points out there with 15 playing players. Who's more likely to score between Vinicius and Mbappe? According to the odds, it's Vinicius, and according to my own guesses, it's also Vinicius Jr. this week. Is Goretzka a good pick for today? Not a bad shout, but I don't think Goretzka's been the same level of UCL Fantasy option than he was a few years ago. Welcome, Domenico. Saludos, hermano. Replacement for Kim Min-jae. Need a 4.3 million or less. That's very cheap to say the least. I don't think you have much options there. If you could stretch a little bit more, you can go for Ryerson or Maatsen from Borussia Dortmund. You can go for Eric Dyer at 4.5 million. You need a bit more than that, mate. Because at 4.3 million and below, you're really stretching it. Fran Garcia's not going to start for me. So yeah, Domenico, I'd really try to stretch to a 4.5 or 4.6 million if you can. Like I said, Sebastian earlier, Mbappe to Vinicius or vice versa is very tricky. It can go either way. Back your gut on that one, but it can really backfire. It's literally down to fine margins. I personally prefer Vinicius this week, but if I had Mbappe, I wouldn't sell him. Will Yamal start? I believe so. Doku worth a punt. Doku hasn't trained today. I wouldn't go for him. Zaire Emery or Galeno? Zaire Emery. Vinicius or Haaland for Mbappe? I wouldn't make transfers either way, but if I had to pick, it'd be Haaland. I think he starts. I think Foden starts. Keep or sell Walker. The lineups I've seen do have Kyle Walker in it, but I think in terms of City defenders, you'd probably play it safe with Gvardiol, Ruben Dias, or Akanji. Proloca says, saludos, algún medio de 7.3 o menos que me recomiendes. Zaire Emery, Oscar Bob, yo creo que va a empezar para Manchester City. También tienes a Kimmich. Fue bastante difícil, pero sí, creo que pondría sí, uno de esos mediocampistas. ¿Hay otro? Seguramente hay otro, pero sí. Zaire Emery es mi favorito. Should I transfer out Brun or Stones from -4? Probably Stones, dare I say. Griezmann is expected to be available, so yeah, should be the answer. Zimno X says Odegaard and Akanji or Musiala and Diaz. That is a great question. I'd probably go for Odegaard and Akanji, but it's fine margins. Musiala or Bellingham? Bellingham. I'm planning to take Sane out. Thoughts? Risky, because he is starting tonight, but look, he hasn't been in great form. No clue who to trust if I sell Ake, Stones, Akanji or Gvardiol. Diaz is the safest long term, but in terms of chance of starting this match day for Man City, it's Akanji or Gvardiol for me. Cancelo, Molina, or Hakimi? I would go for probably Hakimi. The only reason I'm not going for him myself at the moment is because I've got Hernandez already. Thank you for moderating the chat, Nucleams. Lunin and Mbappe or Kane and Edison? Lunin and Mbappe. Now, for this week specifically, I'm not going to lie to you. I think Kane and Edison outscore the other two. But long term, I do like the first duo. So if you've got enough transfers to spare, you can play aggressive. I think Kane Edison works out this week. He's not going for Bellingham this round, risky. Well, he's got 0 goals, 0 assists against Leipzig throughout his career in 6 games, but I will be going for him, just to let you know. Well, godsend, because he started the last few games for Manchester City. He plays Liverpool at the weekend. With De Bruyne, I'm almost certain he doesn't start tomorrow. With Ake, of course, there is a chance he plays. I've seen some lineups which include Ake in it. So I'm not completely ruling out Ake, but I think there's a 50% chance at least that he doesn't start. I'd say Man City are likely to keep a clean sheet. Bayern Munich, despite their troubles. Arsenal. And I know Porto are a decent team, but yeah. Yeah, following. Of course, I do recognise that some people tune in late, and that's why I'm happy to recap sometimes, but when it's the same person, it can be a bit frustrating. Sane or Musiala? Historically, I would say Sane, but based on this season, I have to go for Musiala, I'm not going to lie. What about both? It's not a bad shout, but if you've got Kane up front, I think I just stick with one. Bayern aren't in that sort of form nowadays where you triple up on the attack. Captaincy for today, I'm going for Kane. I think he's my favourite for Tuesday. If Mbappe was at home, he'd be my favourite, and I talked about this in Matchday 7. Is Mbappe going to complete the match? That's a good point. I talked about this in my team selection. Mbappe was subbed off at half-time in the last game, and before that he was subbed off around 65 minutes. And I don't know if the Real Madrid confirmation has anything to do with it, but it could do. Yeah, look, I think Kane does outscore him this week, but whoever you sell, whether you sell Kane to Mbappe or vice versa, it's a risk, you know. I'd probably keep what I have. That's just the way I see it. Should I transfer out Brun or Stones for a -4? I covered this, mate. I would take out Stones because I don't think he starts. Di Lorenzo to Hakimi. Yeah, if you could do it for free, go for it. Prolica says Musiala y Nuno Mendes, Guerrero or Hakimi, Guerrero y Kimmich. Oh, ok, es un trío. Mi preferencia es Musiala, Nuno Mendes y Guerrero. You must give returning players a game or two. Of course, but it can vary, you know. Sometimes a player just comes back from injury and sets the world on fire, but I do get you. I think generally speaking, you are right. Who do you think is the best 4 million or lower defender for this match day only? I was asked earlier about 4.3 million defenders and below, and honestly, you're setting yourself short. There's plenty of good options at 4.5 million. That's cheap enough. I don't think it's worth going for that cheap. So if we go to defenders right now, 4.5 million and below. Yeah, you said 4 million and below. That is... Sorry, mate. Otavio obviously had a great return against Arsenal, but I don't expect him to do anything in Matchday 8. I don't like the look of these defenders, mate. I really don't. Honestly, I'd stretch to a more expensive defender. That is my answer. Yeah, it's just not worth going for them. Really, you can get much better value from a 4.5 million defender like Dyer or Ryerson or Maatsen from Borussia Dortmund at 4.6. I just don't think it's going to work out for you if you go for a 4 million defender or below. Of course, there's always a surprise, but I think on paper it's just not looking good. Let's now go to the transfer section and modify my transfer plans. So, my current thinking is to sell Ake to either Akanji, Gvardio, or Ruben Dias. And what I actually might do is go for 2 Man City defenders. So go for Ruben Dias and Akanji, sell De Bruyne for Bellingham, and stick with Vinicius Jr. up front, and stick with Kimmich in the midfield. But I'd be quite happy with this. Is there anything else I could do? Maybe Kimmich to Musiala? Yeah, I don't know. With Kimmich, I think the 1 week I sold him back in the group stages, he actually got a Man of the Match award. But yeah, tricky one. Let me know what you do with this team, just to inform you, this is how my squad looks like without transfers. So in the live chat, just put like, your opinions on what transfers I should make. That would be massively appreciated. I probably will put out a poll very soon. And thank you for the super chat. If I'm not mistaken, I think we've got a super chat in here. Yeah, we do, by Devashish. Thank you very much. Hey Dylan, who would you suggest as a transfer option for Upamecano? Saliba and Hernandez at the back, Yamal or Jude for KDB? I'd go for Bellingham. He might blank in matchday 8 because his record against Leipzig isn't particularly good. He also looked rusty against Valencia at the weekend. But Bellingham is just a set and forget option for the rest of the season, really. I would rather go for Saliba over Hernandez, if I'm being quite honest with you. I think Arsenal have a better chance of a clean sheet this match day than Paris Saint-Germain, and Hernandez can be subbed off very early. It's happened in the last 2 games. I think in the last match, actually, he was subbed off before 60 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, I'd go for Saliba. That's a good replacement for Upamecano. I don't know what your other defenders are, though, Devashish. You don't have to put another super chat to let me know. You can just put in a normal comment, but... yeah, just some names off the top of my head. Ruben Dias, Gavardio, Akanji, Hummels, Ryerson, Matson, even Sula is pretty good for Borussia Dortmund. Yeah, there's a lot of options there. Even Guerrero's a 1-week punt. But yeah, from the 2 you mentioned, Saliba and Jude Bellingham would be my transfer suggestions. KDB status, I just don't think he's going to start, mate. Prolicar says, es tu equipo, Kim Min-jae por Dyer. Okay, you've retracted your comment, but maybe I've got it still on screen. Yeah, Lucas Hernández por Nuno y Kimmich por Musiala. Creo que te alcanza. Sí, está bastante bien tu sugerencia. Gracias por eso y lo estoy considerando seguramente. Pero yo creo que Ake no va a jugar el partido y que Kevin De Bruyne también, o tampoco. Vamos a ver. I like those moves. I'm not happy about having to sell 2 defenders. Also have Kobel out, but I'm sure Lunin will do good enough. Yeah, Lunin averages 7.3 points per match day. Of course, that's not sustainable in the long term, but he's got a 12-pointer and a 9-pointer this season in just 3 starts. He's been an incredible option in this season's Champions League. So, let me just go back to the team. In terms of likes, we do have 200. Thank you very much for that, and almost 800 people watching. Let's get this stream to over 300 likes. It's massively appreciated. Helps out the channel. A massive shout out to those that send in super chats. Very quickly, because I just realized now that a patron just sent a message. So I'm going to get back to him very quickly. So I'm not ignoring people. I don't do that. Let me just get this message up and reply to him, just in case he's not watching the stream. So, okay. So 12.8 million left for a midfielder and defender. So that's his question. I think what I'm going to go for is a Kanji. That would leave him with 7.8 million in the bank. If it was Dyer, though, he could also go for Foden or maybe with Bellingham. So I think my answer would probably be Matson, Ryerson, Dyer. Let's put the arrow to Ryerson. Oh, yeah, and plus Bellingham. I think that's probably the best set of transfers for him. So hopefully you got that, Andres Suarez. Massive shout out to all the champions and patrons. Okay, so we do have 45 minutes left to lock in, so be sure to get your teams in order. I will be locking in my transfers fairly soon. I haven't had enough time to think about it. Schlotterbeck is suspended. Do not go for Schlotterbeck. He might not be flagged in UCL Fantasy, but he is out due to accumulation of yellow cards. There are plenty of options that are at risk as well. I did cover at the beginning, but I'll probably recap it now because there are new people watching. So, for those of you that aren't aware, there are 3 suspended players for Matchday 8, Upamecano, Schlotterbeck and Simakan from RB Leipzig. Players that are 1 yellow card away from suspension include Ruben Dias, Hummels, Vavro, Melling, DIKS, I just don't want to say it phonetically, Falk, Castellanos, Patrick, Guendouzi, Pedro, Hakimi, Skriniar, Lucas Hernandez, Ugarte, Araujo, João Felix, Roberto, Ferran Torres, De Jong, Lino, De Paul, Savic, Morata, Camavinga, Bellingham, João Mario, Pepe the midfielder, Cardoso, and Canetziao, Aslani, Mkhitaryan, Lautaro Martinez, and Fertesi, Zubeldia, Merino, Traore, Lenormand, Declan Rice, Davis, Goretzka, Boscagli, Ramalho, Henriks, and Poulsen. A massive shout out for this list, by the way, goes to FPL Wally, I think it is, on Twitter. Yeah, he compiled the list of those that are 1 yellow card away from suspension, so he deserves a shout out for that. And yeah, that is pretty much all you need to know about suspensions. In terms of injuries, I have covered it a lot, and there's so much to cover, of course, but don't worry about Saka and Martinelli, they're fine. And yeah, I did cover most of them in my Limitless video. Martinelli or Odegaard? I do prefer Odegaard, and also Martinelli is a forward in this game. Guerrero or Mendy? Guerrero. Carlos Mario says Rodri, Saka or Bellingham y Odegaard? Bellingham and Odegaard. Musiala or Kane captain? Kane. Any thoughts on Rodrigo? Decent option, but I'd rather go for Vinicius, Mbappe, Kane, Haaland, probably Alvarez if he starts, and Martinelli this week. But he's not a bad shout. He's still pretty good. In terms of under 10 million forwards, I think in the long term he's probably the best. But for this match day specifically, I do think there's 2 or 3 better. Yeah, thank you, Badger, as always appreciated. I have made my predictions, but haven't got round to updating them based on the lineups. No, Prasco, the yellow cards reset after the quarterfinals. So after match day 10, going into match day 11, that's when the yellow cards reset. It's UEFA's way of countering players getting suspended for the final. Odegaard or Havertz? Odegaard. Hey Dylan, would you take out Rodri for Zaire Emery or anyone below 7.9 million? Have Musiala, Simmons, Jude, and Saka? Rodri is a slight rotation risk this week, but most lineups do have him in it. I would consider selling Simmons, actually, but yeah, one of those 2 would be sold. Yeah, Zaire Emery's a good option. Long term, I think he's the best one. Out, Kim Min-jae, Upamecano, Calhanoglu, and in Dyer, Maatsen, Bellingham. Good or any changes? It's definitely good, mate. Any changes I'd make? Not necessarily. If you've got funds, you could consider a more attacking option like Guerrero, but in UCL Fantasy, those that get ball recovery points, you know, they're very valuable. Trini says, Dylan, Pepsi or Coca-Cola? They're identical, mate. I'd say Coca-Cola. De Bruyne or Bellingham? Bellingham. I don't think De Bruyne starts. What's going on with Bellingham expected minutes? I think he's going to start the game, and look, he just played 99 minutes against Valencia, got sent off after 99 minutes. Carvajal or Saliba? Saliba. De Bruyne or Jude Bellingham? Bellingham. With who would you replace Kim Min-jae? I don't know who you have already, Adam, but I've mentioned a lot of defenders. You can check out my best Limitless and Wildcard team videos as well. Ruben Diaz, Akanji, Gavadio, Saliba, Rice, and Hummels. You can even go for Eric Dyer, Guerrero. Of course, I'm mentioning multiple players from certain teams. You can take your pick from your favorite option, but those are the teams I'd mainly cover this week. You can even go for Beraldo from Paris Saint-Germain as a long-term cheap option, but yeah, I have covered this. Do you reckon Rico Lewis will start? No, I don't. Shout out to the Trinis in chat, says Godson. Is it worth to swap KDB with Saka? Yes, I do think so. I don't think KDB starts. Should I keep Dest? I'd sell him. Rice or Kimmich? I'd still go for Kimmich. Stone's not playing? I don't think so. Yep, Kim Min-jae is benched. Good luck for match day 8. Huge support from Portugal. Thank you, Melissa. Massively appreciated. Vinicius, Kane, or Lewandowski? For this week, I prefer Kane. Sane to Bellingham and keep Vinicius, or keep Sane and do Vinicius to Rodrigo. I'd actually do the first option there, Zella. Sell one, Kim Min-jae or Ake? Probably Kim Min-jae because he's benched. With Ake, there's actually a chance he plays. No, Marco, you can't roll transfers in the knockout stages. You can only do it in the group stages. Cylindra says, help Dylan, Hakimi, Bellingham, Musiala, and a 7 million midfielder. Or a Kanji Beraldo and both Musiala and Bellingham. I'd go for the second option. I think that's best for you. ¿Vale la pena un -4 por sacar a Kim Min-jae por Lucas Hernández? Creo que no, porque Lucas Hernández puede ser sustituido antes de 60 minutos y ahí tienes un punto o dos y no puedes tener los puntos de una vacha invicta. Ese es mi problema con Lucas Hernández. También se lesiona bastante seguido. Sí, yo pondría otro defensor, hasta Lucas Beraldo de Paris Saint-Germain. Y también mencioné algunos defensores recién como Ruben Díaz, Kanji, Gvardiol, Saliba. Foden's minutes are few, aren't available to be well versus Liverpool. What do you think? I personally think he starts, but of course there is a chance he's benched. You are right about that, but I'm more concerned about De Bruyne. Zacharias Saka por Odegaard? No. Best defender? I just mentioned a lot of defenders now, both in the Spanish answer and in the English answer. Ruben Dias, Kanji, Cavadio, Saliba, Ryerson. Of course, I'm mentioning multiple players from certain teams. You can take your pick from your favourites. For me, for example, Ruben Dias long-term is the best one, but he's also a suspension risk. So I think for this week, I'd be tempted to go for a Kanji or Cavadio. I think they're two of the best options to buy now. Already have Saka, bring second Arsenal player. I don't mind. Odegaard in the midfield, Saliba at the back. Those are the best options. Kane or Mbappe as captain. I prefer Kane. Sane or Odegaard. I prefer Odegaard right now. Midfielder under 9.3 million. Bellingham. Lucas Hernandez, good option. If he can actually play 60 plus minutes, he's okay. But I think there are better options out there. I went for 1-1 PSG. I also went for 2-0 Bayern. I'll probably change those results though. I did get the PSG results spot on for the first leg. I said 2-0 for PSG there. Musiala, Odegaard. Odegaard, what are your transfers? It's not confirmed. I'll probably put a poll out very soon to help a little bit with my transfer plans. Be sure to plug away with the likes. We are close to 300. That'd be massively appreciated. We're also getting closer towards 23k subscribers. We are currently 353 away, so still a lot of progress to be made. It is a slow road to 23k, but if you haven't already, consider subscribing. Join us on Discord, on Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM. Join as a channel member or patron for early access to my videos, and also for priority reply to comments and a lot of other perks as well. And the priority reply to comments not only applies to streams, but also to videos, so all of your queries will be answered. And also, if you pop messages on Twitter and Instagram and you're a channel member or patron, I will respond as quickly as I can. But yeah, what I'm going to do now is put a poll out. So it's going to take me a few minutes at the least, probably. And yeah, after that, I'll probably lock in my team. For those that are, probably waiting and looking to copy, I mean, the best advice you can probably ever get from one of my streams is do not copy anyone, including myself. I might have a good UCL Fantasy record, but play the game your own way. You're always going to be one step behind the person you're copying, and it's not fun playing fantasy just copying every single pick in terms of captaincy, transfers, everything that a content creator does. Just do your own thing and you'll enjoy the game much more. Trust me, it's much more rewarding when you make your own picks and they pay off. So let's put out a poll, and it's probably going to be down to my transfers first. Then I'm going to put a captaincy poll to help you with your Kane versus Mbappe questions. You already know my feelings on the matter. I prefer Kane for the armband this match day. So let's bring up the poll. And these are my current transfer plans, but this could certainly change. So which of these defenders would you leave out, maybe? Would be that question. Or which of these defenders would you go for? Maybe I'll just bring the whole set of transfer plans together. So vote for your favorite transfer plans. All right, let's bring this up. The first one will be Ake, Kim. We'll just play Kim and Jai, and KDB. We do have a character limit, unfortunately, which does restrict us quite significantly. I'll put a Kanji, Diaz, and Bell. Oh, I can't even bloody put his name yet. I'm going to see how I can make this work in terms of characters. Jude does help a little bit. Let's see what else I can say. Ake, Kim. YouTube are very annoying sometimes. Maybe I'll just do that instead. That should work. And then instead of the plus sign, we'll do that. All right, just about enough characters to make that work. Another set of transfers could be pretty much the same. Ake, Kim, and Jai, KDB. Instead, I'll go for maybe just Gvardiol. Instead of Diaz, I will go for maybe Cancelo. I think Cancelo will be one I'd consider. Not enough characters, of course, to make this work. Thank you, Miguel. Massively appreciate it. As he says, be sure to like the video. It's free. And of course, I have gone through hundreds of questions today, covering everything you need to know for UCL Fantasy. in Matchday 8 in terms of injuries, suspensions, the best captaincy options, the best options in each position. If you watch all of my videos and the live stream, you'll know everything you need to for the Champions League. Yeah, YouTube is such a pain with these polls, so I'm struggling to even stay within the word limit. So yeah, I'm going to probably stick with a defender transfer or defender move right now. So vote for your favorite defender. Transfer plan. Yeah, we'll put Akanji, Gvardiol, Diaz. Yeah, I think they all come in. First off, I'm going to put a Man City defender in the poll. So yeah, I'm going to go for that first. Vote for your favorite transfer plan. Akanji, Gvardiol, Diaz. One of them is probably going to come in for me. I would expect all of them to start. I think Ake will be benched, and I also think De Bruyne will be benched as well. Thank you, Godsend. I massively appreciate it. I hope you do really well in Matchday 8. Ake and Kimmich or Akanji and Thuram? Akanji and Thuram. I don't think Ake starts. Kimmich to Musiala. If you can afford it for free, I'd do it. One has to go. I mean, any of them could backfire this week. Foden's the biggest rotation risk out of the 4, but I think Musiala is the most expendable long term. I'd probably sell Musiala, but that's so risky. The Fantasy Football Lab puts his team. What would you change? Free transfers. So your goalkeepers are fine. I wouldn't change that. Your defense, I'd sell Kim Min-jae and Ake if you can. So I'd probably look at a Man City defender. So either Akanji, Gvardiol or Ruben Diaz. And by the way, for those that are voting right now, bear in mind that Ruben Diaz is a suspension risk. 1 more yellow and he's out for the next game. And the yellow cards don't reset until matchday 11, the first leg of the semi-finals. The other transfer I'd make for you, the Fantasy Football Lad, is in the midfield. I would sell Thuram, even though he just returned from injury. So 0.9 million... I mean, pardon me, but my mathematics isn't what it used to be, so I'm not going to calculate now because I've got other questions to answer too. But yeah, Kim Min-jae and Ake out. I would bring in one Man City defender, take your pick from those in the poll, and you could even double up theoretically. And you've also got De Bruyne, don't you? Who I think will be benched. Yeah, you know what? I'd probably keep Thuram, sell De Bruyne to Bellingham, and I would, yeah, bring in at least one Man City defender, potentially 2, for Kim Min-jae and Ake. Dyer and Diaz or Guerrero and Akanji, says Eduardo Ferreira. I would go for, you know what, Guerrero and Akanji, but they're both quite close. Fine margins between the two. Mauro Rodriguez says, finally ending up with Lunin, Sommer, Guerrero, Ake, Hummels, Maatsen, Carvajal, Bellingham, Zaire-Emery, Foden, Odegaard, Sane, Kane, Vinicius, Haaland, hopefully going for another 80 points. Good stuff, Mauro. Not much to really begrudge there. I like that squad. Trying to see if I can nitpick anything, but not really. Yeah, you just have to hope that Pep Roulette is kind. If Foden starts and all of them, yeah, you're in good shape. Best City mid for KDB, Foden if he starts. He's still a little bit of a risk, but Foden is definitely the best. Gvardiol's back, Hugo. Gvardiol's back. He was in the squad against Manchester United. Sell Foden or Sane for Bellingham. I'd rather sell Sane, but just bear in mind that Foden is a slight rotation risk this week, so it's up to you if you want to take that risk. Fair enough, Ahmed. You might be right. Sell to Stegen or Sommer to buy Neuer. I'd rather sell to Stegen. Beraldo versus Dyer. I think long-term Beraldo's the better pick, but for this week specifically, I'd go for Eric Dyer. Mbappe or Vinicius, I would go for Vinicius this week. I wouldn't sell one for the other either way there, Shreyas. Also, I think not having Foden is fine. Well, I don't think Pep sees it that way in terms of the tie's already done. He'll still go quite strong. You can ask any Man City fan. The last time Pep rotated in the Champions League knockout game is probably never during his time at Man City. I don't think he did it at Bayern or Barcelona either. Will they rotate a little bit? Yes. I don't think De Bruyne starts, for example, but I do think they will start most key players. They'll have a strong team because if they go a bit weaker and Copenhagen get an early goal, which is possible, they're going to be in a whole world of trouble. Eric Dyer, Kim Min-jae, yeah, fine. Upamecano, Saliba, KDB and Thuram to White, Diaz, Bellingham and Odegaard -4. 0 in the bank, or get a Kanji instead of Upamecano and keep Saliba no hit. I'd go for the last option and keep Saliba no hit. Took a punt on wildcard on Pavlovic and Musiala. Good luck. Pavlovic, I mean, he's cheap, but yeah, I'm not a huge fan of him, to be honest. Who should I transfer Kim Min-jae for? That's the dilemma I'm working out myself, but I would recommend a Man City defender like Akanji, Gvardiol, or Ruben Dias. Akanji is currently leading the poll, but it's literally down to fine margins. Gvardiol is last with 12%, and you've got Dias and Akanji both at 44%. Imagine that if you sell Ake, for example, to one of Akanji or Dias, and the defender you choose gets benched. That would be peak UCL Fantasy. Why Hernandez of Hakimi? It's the transfer already made from last week. It was purely for budget to afford De Bruyne in the first place. That's literally it, mate. Do you think that Havertz is any good concern in this leg? Look, I'm warming up to Havertz from a fantasy perspective. I think he has been playing well for Arsenal for a few months now, but I do prefer Saka and Odegaard. What do you think for Stones? I don't think he starts exotic. If you want to see defender, go for one of the three in my poll, in my opinion. What about Walker? I saw a lineup, which I showed earlier, and he was in it, but it's not a guarantee. Odegaard or Kimmich, I'd go for Odegaard. Hakimi or Kane for captain? Kane, definitely Kane. Hummel's good idea? Yes, but he's only started one game this year. He will start Matchday 8 because Schlotterbeck is suspended, but he's also one yellow card away from suspension. So, yeah, I'd maybe consider Maatsen or Ryerson instead. Dylan Gvardiol was benched against United. Yeah, he just came back from an injury, but that doesn't mean he's going to be benched now, mate, because it's Liverpool at the weekend. It's now a great chance to play Gvardiol tomorrow, in my opinion. Why not Ake? Because for Ake to start against United, Copenhagen, and Liverpool all in a week, he's going to be benched in one of those games. The same goes for De Bruyne for sure. Yes, I have answered that question, Henry. I've mentioned the three players in the poll there. Akanji, Gvardiol, and Dias. You've also got Guerrero, Beraldo, Hummels, Ryerson. Yeah, I've mentioned a lot of names. Saliba. Yeah, De Ligt is fine, but for this week anyway. But long term, I don't think he's a viable option. He gets benched a lot by Thomas Tuchel. The relationship isn't quite there. I don't think Rico Lewis starts, but you might be right. You might be right. In the Champions League, he has got a lot of starts, but I haven't seen him in any predicted lineups. And if you do see anything, by the way, from FPL Tony or one of those, reliable in the knows, be sure to let me know, because he has been clutch in UCL Fantasy before. I don't think he said anything yet, though, which is a shame. But yeah, we've literally got 17 minutes until the deadline. I'm going to lock in my team, otherwise I'm going to forget. So Bellingham in for De Bruyne is probably going to happen. I'm going to see if I can see any more predicted lineups for City to help inform my decisions and transfers. But yeah, let's see. Alex. Let's see if I can get any predicted lineups. Nope. If you see any, be sure to let me know. But yeah, not looking good. See if I can get any Man City predicted lineup, but I don't think I'm going to be successful here. Okay, let's see if I can get something up here. Manchester City News. Not sure how reliable they are, but we'll go ahead with it. So they are projecting Ederson, Walker, Dias, Akanji, Ake, Rodri, Kovacic, De Bruyne, Foden, Alvarez, Nunez. Fair enough. That's a bit different to what I saw earlier. The Manchester Evening News, who I think are decent with their predictions generally, they have gone for... Wait, is this for... Oh no, that's for the Manchester Derby. I don't care about that. That's happened already. Yeah, predicted lineups. Yeah, obviously, a lot of them obviously have no clue in terms of they don't have inside information, but they can make some educated guesses. Yeah, so Man City, Pep Roulette, it's always going to be a problem. But the points, yeah, no City leaks, unfortunately. No City leaks. Otherwise, that would really help with our decision making. Yeah, Ben White is fully nailed, New Clams. He really is. He's as nailed as you can get. You sometimes get Tomiyasu and others playing as a centre-back, and Ben White plays as the right-back. Eric Dyer would be another one. Also Ryerson. Also on Trossard. You've got Gabriel Jesus back, and Kai Havertz is doing well up front. I'm not sure if I'd go for him. Welcome, Ali. poll for the captain, please. I'll do that soon. I'll probably put another poll out for my own transfers, though, since I'm still deciding. And I have covered questions all day long. But for me, the best captain today is Harry Kane. Out Rico plus Kalinoglu, round for Trossard, Akanji, Maatsen. I'm not going to lie, I'm a bit concerned about Trossard. I'm not sure if he even starts, but if he does, that's a nice differential. Dylan, Sane or Musiala? Musiala. Quite close, but I'd go for Musiala. De Ligt for this match, or Saliba? I'd still go for Saliba, because with De Ligt, he could be subbed off early. Bayern Munich are quite suspect defensively, and things are just not right there under Thomas Tuchel. And beyond Matchday 8, I think De Ligt could be benched. Rodri or Kimmich? I'd rather sell Rodri, because at least with Kimmich, you know he's going to start, but it is at right back. A Kanji Diaz duo or a Kanji Gavadio? Probably a Kanji Diaz, but quite close, but really. Remember, Diaz is a suspension risk. Because I don't know if Ake starts, mate. There is a risk with Ake. He is cheap, but yeah, it's just the concern there. I mean, look, I could be completely wrong. He has been in some predicted lineups. It's not my final team. I'm still deliberating on my final transfers. I'm probably just going to answer one or two last questions for now, focus on my transfers, and then go back to your questions because, yeah, I've covered a lot of these questions already. Rodrigo, good option? Yes, but I do think there are better options like Haaland, even Alvarez this week, Vinicius Jr., Mbappe, Harry Kane. I'd even go far as to say Martinelli. And another one would be... His name has escaped me, but there's another option. Going to come back to me any second now. Fulkrug's decent for this week, but the other one was... I did say him earlier, that's for sure. 9 million forward and below. Well, yeah, it was Alvarez himself. I just mentioned him already, so that's why my mind went blank. I already mentioned him. Yeah, Mobley's all right. If I had to pick any Lazio player, it is a Mobley. That's a decent shout, but I wouldn't go for anyone else. Goldhead, thank you for that. These guys think Ake starts with Gavadio only just coming off the bench, plus thinks KDB starts for a boost. Yeah, I just went over that lineup, actually. Thank you for sending me the link. I'm not sure how reliable they are, though. Or if they have any inside information, but that would be a complete disaster. I mean, yeah, Pep, I think, could be a deciding factor this week. I mean, look, I personally agree. I think Alvarez will start. Same with Foden, but I'm just not so sure about De Bruyne, man, because, you know, that game against Liverpool is so huge, and surely they have De Bruyne ready for that. Is De Bruyne going to start 4 games in a row, especially within a week? I really don't think so. And if De Bruyne starts tomorrow, I almost certainly don't think he plays against Liverpool, or at least starts the game. Let's wait and see. They could be right. And look, Ake has been in quite a few predicted lineups, so maybe I should focus my efforts on another defender transfer instead, or another transfer entirely. But yeah, look, it's going to be risky. It's going to be very down to the wire, 50-50 calls. Luck is going to be involved in these transfers. We've got 11 minutes left, less than 11 minutes until the deadline. But yeah, it's going to be quite close. Predictions, PSG 2, Sociedad 0. Yeah, I went for that for the first leg, got it right. I did go for 1-1 now. I'll try to go for the predictor very soon. 3-1 Bayern, that's a nice one. Mendes, he was pretty good in the UCL Fantasy group stages at the beginning, but I'm not really into any Sociedad options right now. They've got 1 win in 9. Bryce could be decent, but I wouldn't really go out of my way to buy any of them. Guerrero or Cancelo, probably Guerrero. Would you sell Sane or KDB? Probably KDB because I personally think he's benched. I could be wrong about that. Zaire Emery instead of Rodri, yes. Hey, didn't have issues all over. On top, I've got Ake and Foden. I want Bellingham for Bream, Dyer for Babancano, and then only 4 million left. I'm not really too sure about that, man. From Barca, the only defender I'd consider is Cancelo because of his attacking potential, the ball recoveries. The other transfers look great, though, and if that's the only way you can make it work, I'd probably go for it. I mean, he could start and sub early. Yeah, true. But Guardiola also has this thing of starting someone and playing them for the full 90 and not making many subs, so it just depends on the game. Dylan, you have 2.3 million left. Why are you wasting a transfer fixing Ake when you can still start? Yeah, true. You are right. I was thinking about that when I saw the 2.3 million. Go for a high ceiling player by replacing Kimmich, Hernandez, or Emery. Well, I think the Hernandez one would be counterintuitive because at least with Hernandez, I know he's going to start. He might be subbed off early, but if I were to make a huge upgrade, it would be in the midfield, and it would be Kimmich to Musiala, which I've made a similar move before, I think to Sane, and it did backfire, but you might be right, I think, in terms of keeping Ake. I think what I might end up doing, I think Nuclear Atoms has talked me into sense, is keep Ake. And what I'm going to do is cover the basis with Man City defenders. So I'm going to go for one of Diaz, Kanji, or Gvardiol, and keep Nathan Ake. I'll sell De Bruyne to Bellingham. I think I'm quite set on that. And that does leave quite a lot of funds in the bank to make my final transfer, which is probably going to be Kimmich upgraded. And that's where I can go to Odegaard, for example, or I can go to Musiala or Sane. So, yeah, that is a pretty good recommendation, lad. Best Real Madrid defender. Lunin's the best way to cover them. But if you're just talking about defenders purely, remember, Alaba, Eder Militao are out. I'd probably go for Carvajal. Should I sell Sancho? I wouldn't go for him, to be honest. A Dortmund mid could be great, but who? Maybe Royce or Brandt spring to mind. Yeah, I think Sancho would be my preference there. What do you think about Nahuel Molina? He was in my Limitless video. He's the best Atletico Madrid defender. He's got 5-6+ points every single game, so he's pretty decent. And yeah, I've known about him for time for Argentina. This City roulette won't end well until Pep leaves City, will it? To be honest, and I don't want it to backfire now and be clipped, but this season, I've actually got it spot on, or at least Guardiola's been nice with me in terms of rotation. There's been the odd exception here and there, like Ake being benched in the second game of double game at 25, but that's the last time I think I've had a City player benched in UCL Fantasy or FPL, and the leaks have helped as well, of course. De Bruyne out, Musiala or Sane, I'd probably go for Musiala. Ake could start, but I'm unsure about it. That's why I think what I'm going to do is go for another Man City defender and at least cover those bases. To be fair, Dortmund are at home and Hummels is very high for points per million. True. Long term, though, only one start in 2024, one more yellow and he's suspended. So there are some cons against that. You're right to mention him. I do like Hummels. I've talked about him a lot in all my videos, but there are also some cons against him. But he will start in Matchday. I'm convinced about that with Schlotterbeck suspended. I could even go for that Borussia Dortmund double up defensively, but I'm not going to lie. I think I'm tempted to go for the Man City defender. So yeah, I think I'm going to stick with that. Akanji is winning this poll. I mean, Diaz is second with 43%. Gvardiol is third. It's just a shame we don't get any news. It's not confirmed tour, but I personally don't think De Bruyne starts. He started 2 games in a row. This will be his third, and he's got Liverpool at the weekend. So it's up to you what you decide. Do you think he's going to start or not? But for me, I don't think he does. Bellingham, Musiala, or Rodri Saka? Bellingham, Musiala. Why carve out over Rudiger? Second potential. Rudiger was a good UCL fantasy option for Chelsea, but I don't think he's been the same level at Real Madrid. Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, just not really feeling it. Ahmed says, need your input. I have Kim and Jai, Baranachar, Ake, and De Bruyne. Do I transfer out everyone but Ake? Yeah. I keep Ake and sell the rest in your situation for sure. Yeah. Zaire Emery instead of Rodri? Yes, if you can. Well, it's possible. You know, UCL Fantasy is full of surprises. But I personally think both of them will go through. You reckon Vitor Roque will play? I don't think so. Kane or Mbappe for captain? Kane. I've covered this quite a lot, so I'll leave that for now. Lockett Dylan? Yes, I will. I will. I tend to do that. I answer questions, I get sidetracked, and then I have to think about it and make some panic last-minute decisions. So I'm going to try and get it done now. So Bellingham in for De Bruyne. It could backfire, but I think I'm quite set on it. I just hope Guardiola doesn't troll me and starts De Bruyne and benches Foden. I think I'm going to go for, one of a Kanji or Diaz or Gvardiol. I do like Gvardiol from a UCL fantasy perspective. Look at those returns this season. The ball recoveries are certainly there. I think he starts. I really do. I wouldn't go for Simmons, by the way, Psych. I wouldn't do that. Hernandez or Koundé, I'd probably go for Hernandez, but he is a substitution issue. He does get subbed off quite early. Just bear that in mind. Ake or Akanji. Akanji's more likely to start in Matchday 8 for me, so that'd be my recommendation. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go for. I'm literally have to do pepper roulette or just do like a do the cat's got the fooder, all that childish crap, because I honestly don't know. From those two, probably Sabitzer. I'm opting Diaz or Stones over Akanji. Akanji low on recoveries, yeah. I think for ball recoveries, Gvardiol's the best, then it's Ruben Diaz. I think you're right about that. My issue with Diaz is you know, he's also started a lot of games in a row, and he's 1 yellow card away from suspension. So I actually think he could be a surprise benching tomorrow. Yeah, I think I've seen Walker expected to start. Okay, so yeah, enough of that. So I think what I'm going to end up doing is, yeah, we've literally got less than 4 minutes left, by the way. Be sure to do it. Don Hallen to Vinicius. Good luck, Wei Seng. Let's see. Yeah, by the way, Godhead, I'm not sure if Stone starts now. That's why I wouldn't go for him personally. But I think Diaz is a safer sort of pick. Surely one of Diaz or Ake would start, right? All right, let me just lock in this bloody team because I'm sick of seeing this crap. So I think I'm going to go for Ake Akanji. Yeah. Ake Gvardiol. You know what? I mean, it's literally fine margins, and it's all about who do you think is going to start. Anything can happen, but I personally think Gvardiol is going to start. I mean, wow, that is pretty mad. You know what? I'm going to go for Diaz, go for the safer long-term option, even though the suspension risk is certainly there. And I've also got Lucas Hernandez, who's at risk. That leaves 2.8 million to upgrade someone. I can do Vinicius to Mbappe. I can do Kimmich also to, what, a 9.4 million midfielder. So I can go to Sane, Musiala, Odegaard. I think that's pretty much my last transfer. I'm probably going to sell Kimmich. Diaz does win the poll with 44%. So, yeah, best time to wildcard, by the way, I've covered this before. Probably a matchday 9, but it is team dependent. So vote for your favorite transfer. Don't have time for the emojis and stuff, so we're going to put Odegaard, Musiala, Sane. Also could backfire if they get eliminated. And the other midfielder I'd probably think about is... yeah, I think I'll just stick with those three, to be fair. No need to overcomplicate an already dire situation. I've got less than 2 minutes. All right, I'm putting the poll out. Let's get that out there. But yeah, I'm going to lock in my transfers now. Be sure to do the same. Make sure your substitutions are ordered. Get your captaincy in order. I would recommend Kane for today. Wait, it says musical. Why the fuck does it say musical? I literally typed in Musiala and it autocorrects me. Fuck's sake. Musical. I'm telling you, look, you might not believe me. I swear to God, I typed in Musiala. Of course you're going to vote for fucking musical, aren't you? Yeah, I'm going to lock in my team. Enough chit-chat, lads. Enough chit-chat. Yeah, Odegaard's been in incredible form, but I think... yeah, you know what? Let's see how the pod is going. Yeah, musical, aka Musiala, is winning. We've literally got less than a minute. Oh my god, I'm thinking. No, I'm not. Let's just do this. Odegaard. Yeah, I'm going for Musiala. Bye-bye. I'm going for Musiala, and yeah, we're going to go for that. Lock in transfers. We've literally got 35 seconds left. De Bruyne to Bellingham, Kimmich to Musiala, and Kim Min-jae to Ruben Diaz. Surely Pepper Roulette doesn't bend me over. Yeah, we're done. And now make sure that the bench is ordered. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Oh, yeah. And Kane is my captain. He is my captain. Yep, that is pretty much it. We've locked in our teams. We've got 10 seconds to go. Make sure you get everything sorted. Those on my bench are all playing next week, so that's fine. Those starting this week are in my starting 11. Yep, so no issues whatsoever. Kane's my captain. We are locked in, ready to go. And predictor, for fuck's sake, predictor. 1-1 PSG. Can I change it? Can I change it? No, I can't. Yeah. Wait, what? What do you mean log in? Well, yeah. Let's just show my details to the whole world, don't you? And again, what the fuck's wrong with you, man? Honestly, I've got no words. What's happening to this? What? Anyway, probably just a glitch. Yeah, because we got locked in. Never happened to me before. Yeah, as Goldhead said, the Uncharted Rage video side of me is coming out. I hate you, Dylan. Well, I made last-minute changes, you know? I mean, I literally was deliberating because I was focused on people's questions, and look what I got. Yeah, musical 1. And I don't know why I even did that. Thank you, Godhead. Foden for Jude, yay or nay? Well, you sold Foden for Jude. I mean, long term, I'd say yay. even though Foden's in incredible form. He's actually got more goals and assists than Bellingham at the moment. But yeah, let's now complete the team. That's not my team. That's how it was before the transfers. So yeah, let's see how it goes. I was quite set on selling Ake all week. I've bought in 2 Man City defenders. I've got 2 Man City defenders now. I sold De Bruyne. Yeah, I really hope De Bruyne is benched tomorrow, and the likes of Foden, Haaland, and all of them start. But yeah, I think Man City is pretty much a big determining factor for my week. If they all start, it's a great chance of making massive waves in the ranks. Ben White good, yes, but I prefer Saliba and Gabriel. Good luck, Sinindra. Is Rudiger good? Yeah, he's fine, but I think Lunen's the best way to cover Real Madrid defensively, to be honest. I've covered this before. It's crazy Dyer starting over De Ligt. Well, yeah, recent games, but they're actually starting together. It's Kim Min-jae who's benched now, which is crazy. Who's playing right now? Paris Saint-Germain against Real Sociedad in Spain, and also Bayern Munich against Lazio. So yeah, those are the games going on right now. We've covered everything you need to know for Matchday 8. Uncharted Rage videos, top tier. Yeah, look, in terms of, what's it called? Gaming, I'm quite competitive in general, but in gaming, yeah, the worst side of me does come out, so I do say a lot of wild stuff, as you saw in that video, but yeah, nothing cancel-worthy. It's making me log in. Yeah, I don't know why, but it is what it is. Hopefully, I got the predictions right. Guerrero captain, good luck to you, the legend of Renegade. I really, wish you the best. I actually completely forgot about buying defenders for a second. My prediction was 2-0, actually. So, yeah, I'm hoping they don't keep a clean sheet, to be honest. But, yeah, good luck to you. Good luck to you. Thank you, KYZZ and Matt SkyFF. Always a pleasure. I would sign a musical. Yeah, of course you would. Musiala goal. Yeah, okay. Don't troll me. Yeah, I'm gonna check just in case. But yeah, I think someone said that last stream, or there was a disallowed goal and stuff like that. Let's see. Bayern Munich. Yeah, I'm not watching any games right now. I'll put them on very soon. Thank you, Bronchelos121. Are we able to change captain for tomorrow's fixtures? Yes. In UCL Fantasy, it's a big part of the game. Check out my How to Play UCL Fantasy guide. So you can captain someone for today. If Kane blanks, you can captain whoever starts for Man City tomorrow. Haaland would be the ideal one. Next week, you can captain Saka on the Tuesday, and then whoever you have remaining on the Wednesday, be it Atletico Madrid, Inter Milan, Borussia Dortmund, or PSV Eindhoven player. So yes, you've got 4 chances at the captaincy. And guess what? I didn't get any of them spot on in Matchday 7. For Fuchsik, oh, right. My transfers did not go through. Had the same login issue as you. Yeah, thankfully I didn't have it in UCL Fantasy, but I did for the predictor, which is a bit of a shame, but it is what it is. I still like UCL Fantasy. Dylan, who would you captain for the other days? I cover this in all my videos. So on Wednesday, it's whoever starts between Haaland and Foden. Haaland's my preference. Next week, it's Saka on the Tuesday. And on Wednesday, the only player I can really go for is Mr. Maatsen. So yeah, those are the captaincy options for all the days. Here we go. Watch Rodri and Dyer outscore all our transfers. Yeah, but long term, I still back Diaz to outscore Dyer and for Musiala to outscore Rodri, assuming Bayern Munich advance. Looks like musical will haul today. I really hope so. I really hope so. I'm telling you, I don't know why. I think in FPL, I once put Botman and then it autocorrected to Batman. So it's not the first time something like this has happened. Also, I captained Kane and he's not stuck. Yeah, he's not stuck. Oh, well, who's your captain then? Well, hopefully it's a blessing in disguise. Thank you, Level Love. Hope KDB is benched or blank. Same here. He was incredible for me in Matchday 7. But yeah, there was a few 50-50 calls that caused the red arrow. So obviously the captaincy decisions and going for Mbappe, or not going for Mbappe, going for Vinicius instead. Punjabi says, best of luck, Dylan and guys. Likewise, mate. Let's have a smashing Matchday 8. Let's see. Can't wait for my transfer musical to score a brace. Honestly, people are not going to let it down now. I'm telling you, I typed the Musiala, but because of Safari, they autocorrected it to musical. Don't know why. So is it just because of the poll? Not really, to be honest. I had a feeling about Odegaard, but I just went for Musiala. I think a key reason why is because I only had... Well, I took out Kim Min-jae and I've got no Bayern Munich defensive coverage, only Harry Kane today. So, yeah, I decided to go for Musiala. And also with Arsenal, despite the fact I think they will go through against Porto, I'm still a bit apprehensive. I voted for Odegaard as they have way better attacking at home. Yes, and Odegaard's played in 2 home games in the Champions League. He's returned them both. I think he got a 15 points against PSV and 8 points. I think it was against Lons. Dylan related to FPL, thoughts on selling Haaland to Morris this game week? I'm not completely against it. It's 3 game weeks for 3 games and 2 game weeks for Morris, and only the 1 for Haaland against Liverpool away. So for the next 2 game weeks, it's fine, and it also gives you the funds to buy Salah in game week 30. Salah is now back in training. Sane captain, good luck Ayub. My captain is Haaland. Yeah, that's gutting, but maybe you won't miss out on much with the way Bayern are. If Bayern sucks today, Tuchel will be out soon. Yeah, I mean, he's already out of the door for the end of the season, but if they crash out of the Champions League, they could make a move now. You're right about that. I went for Ben White with a double up on defence. Not too worried about Ake as I have Edison. Took the risk of Mbappe to Kane, as Mbappe could get hooked off early. Yeah, I know, but it can go both ways, right? I actually don't think Mbappe will be hooked off early this time. Mike Walliver during the PSG game. He's supposed to be the best English ref, by the way. Yikes. Musical, Kelly, De Bruyne, and Boomerang. I'm playing with 3 defenders. Yeah, my defence was my weakest part, so I'm just hoping that Lucas Hernandez plays 60+ minutes and that Mr. Ake and Diaz start. Who do you think is the best replacement for Tuchel, Klopp at Bayern Liverpool? There are reports that Xabi Alonso might prefer a move to Bayern Munich. I think he is a great replacement for both of them, to be quite honest with you. He knows the Bundesliga well, and for Bayern Munich to get him, they're just poaching their main rivals at the moment, their best manager, and the key reason for their success and their trajectory. So, yeah, I think for Bayern Munich it would be Xabi Alonso, and for Liverpool, probably the same answer. Twisted Parkio 6 puts his team. I changed Foden to Bellingham and Upamecano to Maatsen, never mind. Well, good luck, Twisted Parkio. I wish you the best. It's a solid team overall, and hopefully it all turns out pretty well. Did not go through, but it is what it is. Yeah, that's why, I mean, look, I'd made transfers quite late myself, but I always tell people, do the transfers as early as you can. Oh, hopefully not El Padrino. I'm sick to death of Mbappe. Captain Haaland or Vinicius for tomorrow? Haaland if he starts. Mbappe just scored a decent opportunity. Oh, scuffed, I'm guessing that is. Yeah, hopefully he keeps on scuffing things. Alonso may go Liverpool. I hope he goes Bayern as a Chelsea fan. He can go to both, really. And remember, he did play for Bayern Munich not so long ago. But yeah, he's got the options open. And then I think later in his career, he'll probably end up at Real Madrid. But let's wait and see. Hopefully Musical does return in the end. Thank you to those that are still tuning in. Be sure to watch the Champions League games. Let's get this stream to 300 likes. Let's get this stream to 300 likes. Be sure to like it on your way out. Thank you to those that send in super chats, all the channel members and patrons. It's massively appreciated. I was too busy doing Champions League predictions and Championship ones. Yeah, it's too much, isn't it, for fantasy and predictions there. Sane is ridiculous. What a run. Just no goal. Yeah, and Sane hasn't been in great form, to be honest. He really hasn't. Dyer will do the job. Not often you say that, especially in recent years. I hope he doesn't. I hope Lazio get something, but I honestly don't think he will. I don't think they will score. But we'll see what happens. We will see. UCL Fantasy, I mean, I've got a good record in it historically. This season's been going quite well, but yeah, there's always these fine margins and 50-50 calls. Let's see if we get the rub of the green. Thank you for those for tuning in today. If you enjoyed it or found it useful, smash the like button and subscribe for new. Let's try to get this stream to over 300 likes, and let's keep on pushing towards new goals such as 23k subscribers and beyond. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram for all the latest FPL and UCL Fantasy updates. Dylan RCM, just like the channel name. And you can also join the Discord server, the UCL Fantasy League. There's also Draft Town to optimize your FPL squads. And yeah, you can consider becoming a channelable patron for early access to my videos and also priority reply to comments and much more perks. Be sure to check out, many more perks should I say, correct English. Be sure to check out all the links in the description below. It's been a pleasure talking to all of you today. Thank you, Bada, as always. I'll see you very soon. Thank you, Level Earth. No worries, it's great to hear that. Thank you, Dopa. Twisted Parky tuning in and more musical terms, yeah. Do you think Bayern will sing to musical tune? I bloody hope so, because I just bought him. Imagine I bought this guy just because of an autocorrect because of Safari. Ugh. Well, hopefully it turns out right. Thank you, Nuclear Atoms, as always, and Twisted Parky. Thank you, yeah, 1298, and everyone else too. If you've got any more questions, comments, like I say, Twitter, Instagram, Discord server, the comment section of this video. You have so many opportunities and avenues to messaging me. Same with on Patreon for the channel members and, of course, the patrons. Thank you very much to everyone. Enjoy the football. I'm going to go off to watch the Champions League right now. Take care. I'll see you very soon for more UCL Fantasy. and FPL content.